Part 166. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1652. Zhang Chen, Lu Qing, and 6 others arrived in New York. This time they were going to the Metropolitan Museum of Art, the Guggenheim Museum, and the Museum of Modern Art in New York. Zhang Chen brought Zhao Xian with him. Xiaofang and Zhang Xiangbei came to pick them up at JFK Airport. They drove a van and Zhang Xiangbei was the driver. When the family first met, it was not as warm as expected, and they were very excited, but on the surface they were more reserved. Zhang Xiangbei even shrank back a little when he saw Zhang Chen. Although they often video chat on MSN, when they actually meet in person, it is probably because they have been apart for so long that they are a little unfamiliar with each other. Zhang Chen, Xiaofang, and Zhang Xiangbei are a little reserved. Looked at each other and smiled. Xiaofang didn't know what to say after calling brother-in-law. Zhang Xiangbei didn't even call him dad, he just smiled at him. Fortunately, there were many people, and their embarrassment was quickly resolved. When Lu Qing saw Xiaofang, she blurted out, "What a resemblance." Everyone knew that she was talking about Xiaofang and the painting sister in the Riverside Art Museum. Xiao Zhao really looked like Xiaofang and smiled at Lu Qing. Zhang Chen introduced them to each other, and then everyone got in the car. After Zhang Xiangbei opened the door for them, he ran to the front and opened the passenger door for Xiaofang. When Xiaofang got in the car, he patted Zhang Chen. The look on Xiangbei's shoulders was not saying thank you to Zhang Xiangbei, but more like praising him for being so good. Zhang Xiangbei saw that Zhang Chen was a little angry, but he turned around and became very intimate with Xiaofang. Zhao Xian quietly said to Zhang Chen, "They really look like mother and son." No, my mother is too young." "Boss, do you think they look like real siblings?" Zhang Chen smiled and said, "Of course, Zhang Xiangbei was brought up by Xiaofang, and now he will finally take him to university." When Zhang Chen said this, he felt a little emotional. When Zhang Chen and the others arrived, it was already evening, and Xiaofang took them to a restaurant in Flushing for dinner. Except for Zhang Chen, everyone else came to the United States for the first time. Lu Qing looked out of the car window with interest. After the car passed Queens, Lu Qing and Zhang Chen said, "Compared to European cities, New York looks anxious." Zhang Chen knew what she meant, that she was a nouveau riche person. Zhang Chen said, "Of course, Europe has experienced the First and Second World Wars. The United States not only did not survive, but also benefited from them. The First World War made it rise to become a Western power, and the Second World War made it become a superpower. It is impossible for a big country not to be complacent. The European recovery plan after World War II eventually became the Marshall Plan. This little brother that initially funded the big brother later became the big brother, and in turn Europe became its little brother. Is it possible that it would not be satisfied?" Zhang Chen's words not only made the people in the car laugh, but also Xiaofang, who was sitting in the front passenger seat. "However, I think Shanghai and Beijing will seem more anxious than New York in the future," Zhang Chen said. "Not in the future, I think it is now," Lu Qing said. "The JFK airport we just came out from, compared with the airports in Beijing and Shanghai, is simply a third-level poor household." Xiaofang smiled and said, "It's true, every person I meet who comes from China will say this. New York's airport and roads are the objects of ridicule, but when you come into contact with Americans, sometimes it will be confusing again. There are really many Americans who think that Chinese men still have braids and Americans really don't care about the world outside the United States." Zhang Chen thought to himself, in fact, not all people are the same everywhere. How many people in the country, especially those in coastal areas, have long thought that the world is their own, and who would care about it, such as Li Yong. What is happening now with the place where I passed the township chief? From this perspective, it is true that people can only see the outside world through their own window. When driving through Flushing Park, Zhang Chen remembered and asked Xiaofang, "Is the Target in New York right here?" Xiaofang was right, "You can enter here on Roosevelt Avenue. Do you need to go and see it?" Zhang Chen shook his head and said, "No, Jessica will come to New York in a few days, and she will definitely pass by." Xiaofang nodded. Jessica and Xiaofang had already met. During the financial crisis, Xiaofang organized funds and helped Target's stock price rise. Later, Jessica went to New York, specifically to go to Wall Street. I watched Chemistry. Sue Kioxin and the others came to the United States at the beginning of the year, and they met again in Seattle. It was Jessica who asked their Seattle Target company to help find the house for Zhang Chen and his American branch. Zhang Chen and others went to New York for filming this time. Although the Foreign Affairs Department of CCTV helped them contact them, the arrogant Americans always thought that foreign media were hometown silver media and ignored them. The result was very disrespectful. Ideal, the staff who communicated with CCTV told them bluntly that it was impossible to enter the museum for filming during the closure period. Even the Metropolitan Museum of Art has a dedicated China pavilion, which collects a large number of Chinese cultural relics and art treasures. But in their view, that China is just a symbol, a part of their museum, and is not the same as the real China. Boundary. Both the Metropolitan Museum of Art and the Museum of Modern Art in New York responded in this way. The Guggenheim Museum has a better attitude because they just held a touring exhibition of Cai Guoqiang, I want to believe more than a year ago. Cai Guoqiang's gunpowder art is now permanently displayed in the entrance hall of the Guggenheim Museum. They have a better understanding of the contemporary Chinese world. Therefore, they have shown sufficient attention to the largest television media from the Chinese world and expressed that they can fully cooperate. The reason behind this is that the Guggenheim is a cultural trust. In addition to the Guggenheim Museum in New York, they have other museums in Las Vegas, Bilbao in Spain, Berlin in Germany, and Venice in Italy. There are branches all over the world, and they even hope that one day they will have branches in China. Therefore, it is not surprising that they showed enthusiasm for CCTV. The Metropolitan Museum of Art and the Museum of Modern Art in New York can ignore CCTV, but they cannot ignore the financial backers behind them. Those foundations, especially the Museum of Modern Art in New York, are backed by the Rockefeller family, which was founded in 1929. At the time, one of the three founding ladies was Abby Aldrich Rockefeller. Her son, Nelson Rockefeller, later the main sponsor, even called the Museum of Modern Art his mother's museum, the Museum of Modern Art in New York. People are more accustomed to calling it Mammoth. Its logo is a capital 4 English letters MoMA. Zhao Xian said with a smile, "The birth of this art museum is very similar to our art museum." Zhang Chen is right, it is a pity that the English have hegemony. They have the right to speak in the world and can spread their influence to the world. At this point, we are inherently deficient, so whether it is our art museum or Chinese painters, can only be in a marginal position, which is very unfair. In terms of the quality of the artworks, we are not inferior to them, but our reputation is not as great as theirs. Most visitors go to art museums because of the reputation of the exhibits, and they don't understand them. Lu Qing said, "It's true. Like the Louvre, we thought we couldn't finish it in 2 days, but I met many domestic tourists who thought 10 minutes was enough. When they entered, they went straight to the Mona Lisa. When I got there, I took a look at it from a distance behind the crowd, and then I was ready to leave. I felt like I had already been to the Louvre Museum." For them, the most regrettable thing is probably that they are not allowed to take pictures, Zhang Chen said, and everyone in the car laughed. The Rockefeller family and Yale University are inextricably linked. Almost every new group of members of Yale University's Skull and Bones Society comes from the Rockefeller family. Xiaofang helped them implement it through her own connections. The Metropolitan Museum agreed to allow them to go in and shoot for 3 days, 2 hours a day. After closing at 5:30 p.m. the Museum of Modern Art was even more generous and agreed to let them go in on Tuesday. On closed days, you can enter the museum and shoot for a whole day. When we arrived at the entrance of the restaurant, everyone got off the car and walked inside. Zhang went north to park the car. Xiaofang and Zhang Chen said, "Brother-in-law, Bai Bei has been following you these past few days to act as your translator. Anyway, he has graduated from high school and has nothing to do. He has been spending time in these places every day these past few days, and the environment is familiar to him." Zhang Chen was surprised and asked, "Don't he hate going to these places?" Xiaofang pursed her lips and smiled. She whispered to Zhang Chen, "In order to accompany you, he has been very serious these days. He bought a lot of information from these places and read it. If you have anything unclear, you can ask. He knows the route inside and the location of the exhibits better than I do." Zhang Chen understood. Everyone sat down around the dining table. After a while, Zhang Xiangbei also arrived. Zhang Chen asked Zhang Xiangbei, had he helped us plan our itinerary for the past few days? Zhang Xiangbei nodded and said, "It's planned. Today is Thursday, tomorrow and the day after tomorrow are Friday and Saturday. The Metropolitan Museum only closes at 9 p.m. these 2 days, so you can't take pictures. My suggestion is that you first visit these 3 places as tourists in the past 2 days, and then make a plan for shooting, so that when you enter the Metropolitan Museum on Sunday and Monday, you can start working directly. Sunday and Monday will be at the Metropolis. If you still need to take additional photos, I will find time to make an appointment later. I will spend the whole day on Tuesday at the Museum of Modern Art, and finally go to the Guggenheim to shoot. I think the most distinctive thing about the Guggenheim, and what's more valuable than the messy artworks inside, is the building itself, so I chose to shoot the Guggenheim during the day when it's open. The empty museum is so fake," Zhang Xiangbei said. Lu Qing said, "Yes, your plan is very good, just follow your plan." Zhang Chen asked, "What do you mean by messy artworks?" The Guggenheim has many collections from Kandinsky, Mondrian, Gauguin and Monet. "I don't know, it all looks messy anyway," Zhang Xiangbei said. "It's not as good as entering through the gate. The Fujianese stuff is nicer. If he were there at the scene and watched the gunpowder explode, it would be very enjoyable." Zhang Chen burst into laughter, knowing that the Fujianese Zhang Xiangbei was talking about was Cai Qiaqiang, the most influential Chinese artist in the contemporary world. For most Chinese, even if they don't know his name, they must have seen his works. The fireworks at the opening ceremony of the Beijing Olympics and the 8 huge footprints in the air before the opening ceremony were all created by him. This rural boy who came from a fishing village in Fujian has some similarities with Zhang Chen. He did not go to a serious art school, but the Shanghai Theatre Academy, where he studied stage art. Zhang Chen feels that maybe this kind of experience has actually shaped him and made his works more performative. He regards the sky as his stage, and the fireworks are the actors he sends on stage. Instead of it is better to say that he is a painter than a director, and what he is doing is indeed more like the work of a director. A fireworks show requires the mobilization of a lot of manpower and material resources, and the preparation time is protracted, but the completion of the work only takes a few minutes, and it must be generated once, and there is no way to modify it. Success is one time, and failure is also one time. Thank you to the Bandit Suppression Headquarters and the Baby Tin Soldiers for the reward of 2 fishes at 3 o'clock in the middle of the night. Thank you Wang Wenhai, Taizong Shang 1, Cup Guy API, Galaxy, Purple How, He Shi Yitan, at Invisible Man, Void Broken Dreams, Frivolous is Not Impossible World's monthly tickets. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1653. Xiaofang arranged for Lu Qing and the others to stay at the Langham Hotel on 5th Avenue. The hotel is next to the Rockefeller Center and the New York Museum of Modern Art. It is also next to the Rockefeller Center, and the Langham Hotel is separated from the Rockefeller Center. Walk north along 5th Avenue next to Central Park. In 10 minutes, you can walk to the Metropolitan Museum of Art. If you continue north, you will reach the Guggenheim Museum. Xiaofang made an appointment with Lu Qing and Zhao Xian to pick them up at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. Xiaofang will take them to meet with the curators of these 3 museums. Lu Qing needs to confirm the shooting arrangements with them and handle the necessary matters. For the formalities, Zhao Xian wanted to establish exchanges and liaisons with them between the museums. The others followed Zhang Xiangbei, as he said, to visit as tourists, and then meet Lu Qing and Zhao Xian again after their affairs were settled. Everyone said goodbye in the lobby of the Langham Hotel, and Zhang Chen followed Xiaofang and Zhang Xiangbei home. After returning home, Zhang Chen opened the trolley case he brought. It was full of food, including bacon and sausages. Zhang Chen and Xiaofang said, "This is made by your mother." "I don't think so, it is impossible to bring it." Xiaofang smiled and said, "That's right. I finished the food I brought last time in 2 days. It was very unsatisfactory." Xiaofang said and looked at Zhang Xiangbei, and the 3 of them laughed. The so-called last time, I asked Zhang Xiangbei to bring it. Unexpectedly, when Zhang Xiangbei arrived in Shanghai, he even gave the box to Xiaomi. Later, when we talked on the phone, Xiao Zhao's mother kept asking Xiaofang whether the bacon was delicious. Xiaofang could only lie and say that it was delicious and we finished it in 2 days. Xiaofang was puzzled and said, "Brother-in-law, why did you bring these things out?" Zhang Chen said, "Being with Lu Qing and the others, CCTV is still a bit of a deterrent in the country. The old beauty is blind, so she will let you enter the customs," Zhang Xiangbei asked. Zhang Chen said, "Lu Qing took this box. We thought about it and gave it to them if they found out. It turns out that Lu Qing is probably a yellow woman and belongs to a low-risk group. She is also a media reporter and there was no customs inspection, it was released after inspection. Maybe they don't even know what it is," Zhang Xiangbei said. Xiaofang smiled and said, "So, it's not surprising that terrorists can sneak into the United States on a large scale." Xiaofang stood up and shouted, "No, no, or I haven't seen it. If I see it, I won't be able to get over this addiction." Zhang Chen said, "I'll steam it for you." "Let Bai Bei go, Bai Bei will do this," Xiaofang said. Zhang Chen also shouted, "Yes, Zhang Xiangbei, don't you want me to stew beef?" Zhang Xiangbei asked, "Do you want to eat?" "If you want to eat, I will honor you now." Zhang Chen smiled and said, "Forget it, I just had dinner, this is what I will eat today." Zhang Xiangbei went to the kitchen with bacon and sausages, and Xiaofang also stood up. She went to the wine cabinet and got a bottle of wine and 3 glasses, and put them on the dining table. She said to Zhang Chen, "Great, we can have reunion dinner today." After saying this, I felt that this was a bit wrong, so I quickly said, "It turns out that there are only 2 of us at most, Bai Bei and I. We haven't experienced the scene of many family members eating together for a long time." Zhang Chen said, "This time Zhang Xiangbei will go back with us, will you leave too?" Xiaofang shook her head and said to Zhang Chen, "I am not so fast. I am leading people now. If these people can take over, it will be September at the earliest." I thought, this is fine, I will wait for Bai Bei to go after college, I can return to China in October. Zhang Chen said, "Yes, this is fine. Brother-in-law, don't worry, I can still take care of Bai Bei. When I return to China this time, some of the funds I bring back are from the Yale Foundation, so I will still return to the United States often and to Yale," Xiaofang emphasized. "I don't worry, Zhang Xiangbei is so old, what should I worry about?" Zhang Chen said with a smile, "You are the one who is worried about him, right?" Xiaofang giggled and said, I'm not worried, I'm worried. Worry about what? I'm worried that if something happens to Baibei, I won't be able to explain it to my sister when I go back, Xiaofang said. Don't worry, nothing will happen to you. As a girl, you have already made it in the United States. Zhang Xiangbei stands taller than me. He is already a young man. There is nothing to worry about, Zhang Chen said. Xiaofang sighed, that being said, it's not too difficult to think about what I've been through all the way, but when I really think about going back to China and leaving Baibei alone in the United States, I still feel sad. Zhang Chen said it was okay. He could also go back to China during the winter and summer vacations. Also, didn't you say you would go back to the United States often? You can see this often. 4 years have passed in a flash, so fast. Xiaofang nodded. When they went out the next morning, Xiaofang wanted Zhang Xiangbei to drive too, and the two cars went out together, so that she could accompany Zhao Xian and Lu Qing to finish their errands. After going to the company, if Zhang Chen and the others wanted to go somewhere, Zhang Xiangbei, you can take them there. Zhang Chen said, no, we will be in the 5th Avenue area today, just walk here and there. In the evening, you can come over after get off work and have dinner with us, and we will come back together. Xiaofang thought about it and said yes, get in the car. Zhang Chen and Zhang Xiangbei got in the car, and when they arrived at the Langham Hotel, Lu Qing and the others were ready and could not wait for them in the lobby of the hotel. Seeing them arriving, Lu Qing and Zhao Xian got into Xiaofang's car, and the others people followed Zhang Xiangbei, and they first went to the nearest modern art museum. The Museum of Modern Art is located on 53rd Street in Manhattan, between 5th and 6th Avenues. Together with the Tate Museum in the United Kingdom and the Pompidou Center in France, it is ranked as the most important modern and contemporary art exhibition hall. The collection includes everything from paintings, sculptures, drawings, prints, films, photographs to architectural models and industrial designs. The works of these modern and contemporary artists range from Van Gogh, Matisse, Gauguin, Miro, and Picasso to Andy Warhol, who has just been exhibited at Zhang Chen's Riverside Oil Painting Gallery. To the latest helicopters and multimedia artworks, its collection reaches more than 150,000 pieces, which is richer than the Tate and Pompidou, and has the most complete collection of modern and contemporary art in the world. This is also related to the rapid economic development of the United States in modern times. Not only have many artists gone to the United States, but it has also given consortiums like Rockefeller more funds to search for the works of well-known artists around the world. Like the Pompidou Center, the new building of the Museum of Modern Art has a very modern architectural design. It was designed by Japanese designer Yoshio Taniguchi. It is difficult for Westerners to understand several stacked squares at random, but Chinese and Japanese people can easily think of tofu when they look at it. I wonder if this designer was inspired by the stacked tofu cubes. Zhang Chen and the others entered the museum. The first, second, and third floors were mostly filled with films, furniture and photography works, including the design works of the French architect Le Corbusier, the father of functionalism. However, these works were not among them. Within the scope of this shooting, Zhang Chen still defined the scope of their shooting as easel painting. They walked through these exhibition halls and arrived at the 4th floor. The highlight of the 4th floor was pop art and Andy Warhol. Andy Warhol is to the United States just like Andrew Wyeth and Sartorius. Like Gent, he is an American hero and deserves such a status in the Museum of Modern Art. Zhang Chen saw here the Camel soup cans neatly arranged in rows on the wall, and the Marilyn Monroe also arranged neatly in rows, colorful and extremely enchanting. On the 5th floor, this is the real highlight of the Museum of Modern Art. Almost all their important collections are on display here, including Gauguin's The Seat of the Ariois, Picasso's Les Demoiselles d'Avignon, Leonardo da Vinci's Lise The Persistence of Memory, Modigliani's The Reclining Lady and Chagall's I and the Village. The most famous one is, of course, Van Gogh's Starry Moon Night. The Modern Art Museum has a special Van Gogh exhibition hall, which displays more than a dozen of Van Gogh's paintings. What pleased Zhang Chen the most was not seeing Starry Moon Night here, but saw Van Gogh's almond blossoms in bloom here. This cold-toned work has a pure blue sky in the background, flying branches, and white apricot blossoms. It is extremely charming. It reminds Zhang Chen of the tallow tree on Jiao Fang of Yongchengwu Opera Troupe. Spring when the leaves are in full bloom. Zhang Chen believes that this is the gentlest painting among all Van Gogh's paintings. If you don't look at the author's name, it would be difficult to believe that this was created by Van Gogh, who had a somewhat violent personality and could cut off his own ears. This painting was a baptismal gift from Van Gogh to his nephew, Theo's son. Zhang Chen felt that the title of this painting should not be called Apricot Blossoms in Bloom, but Dear Nephew. Here, Zhang Chen also saw the famous numberless watch that American artist Nathan George Howitt was invited by the Movado brand to design for them. When designing the watch, Howitt believed that the essence of time is that the Earth revolves around the Sun along its orbit. Therefore, he simplified the complexity and removed all the common digital scales in traditional watch dial designs, leaving only the 12 o'clock position. There is a golden dot, symbolizing the Sun at noon, and a pointer symbolizing the movement of the Earth. When Einstein received Horwitz's initial design draft, he immediately wrote back to express his love. When I received the sketch of your brand new clock invention, I was impressed by the simplicity and clarity of the idea. This watch was permanently collected by the Museum of Modern Art in New York in 1960, becoming the first watch in history to win this honor. It is still regarded as an unprecedented simple design in the history of watches. Zhang Chen returned to the first floor and saw the souvenir shop selling this watch. He immediately bought 20 of them and gave them to his colleagues as souvenirs. He also planned to take them back to other people in the company. Thank you man for your insights, ZSW, Lao Chen Tang, Robin Granite, Daos Hung 123, Kingbo, and Dong Longdong for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Good evening to everyone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1654. After Zhang Chen and the others visited the Museum of Modern Art, they sat in the Rockefeller Sculpture Park on the first floor, looking at the sculptures around them. There were works by Miro and Henry Moore, as well as Picasso's famous Yu sculpture. Xiao Fang took Lu Qing and Zhao Xian. They first went to the Metropolitan Museum, then to the Guggenheim Museum, and finally returned to the Museum of Modern Art. At this moment, they were sitting in the office of the director of the Museum of Modern Art. The reason why they chose to go far away from the near and almost went in the opposite direction to Zhang Chen and the others was because Xiao Fang said that the modern French restaurant in the Museum of Modern Art was good. When they returned to this place after visiting the other two museums, Zhang Chen and the others may also be optimistic about Jean, and they happened to have lunch together. The modern restaurant is located inside the Museum of Modern Art, separated from the Rockefeller Sculpture Park by a glass wall. Sitting in the park, Zhang Chen and the others can see the gourmets in the restaurant. Of course, people in the restaurant can also see them from outside. They are Chinese. The restaurant's business is very good and it seems to be full. Zhang Xiangbei and Xiao Fang come here often. Xiao Fang comes here to see the exhibition, and Zhang Xiangbei likes the food here. When they walked to the entrance of the restaurant, Zhang Xiangbei said to Zhang Chen and others in an old-fashioned manner, "You go to the park to see Picasso, and I will queue up to get a seat." Zhang Chen and the others felt that time was almost up, so they stood up from their chairs and walked back to the door of the restaurant. Xiao Fang, Lu Qing, and Zhao Xian also came out. The three of them laughed when they saw Zhang Chen, especially Zhao Xian, who laughed very happily. I can't even close my mouth. Zhang Chen asked her what happened. What's good? Zhao Xian smiled playfully, boss, do you know what just happened? Zhang Chen looked at Xiaofang and Lu Cheng. They were standing there, smiling but silent, as if they were waiting for Zhao Xian to tell Zhang Chen. Zhao Xian said, as soon as I took out the information from our art museum, the curator here knew that many of Andy Warhol's works were loaned from here last time. They looked at the photos they brought back. At that time, the curator was very curious, saying what kind of art museum in China this was, it was so beautiful, and he didn't expect us to come here. Zhang Chen was also very happy when he heard it. He said yes, that's great. Yes, it's great. After I go back, I will continue to communicate with them. They are interested in co-organizing a biennale. They will send us the works of American artists, and we will send the Chinese ones. Both parties will do it at the same time. Carry out, Zhao Xian said. Great, Zhang Chen exclaimed, thinking in his mind, how awesome it would be to co-organize an exhibition with the New York Museum of Modern Art, and its impact would be no less than that of the Andy Warhol Works exhibition. Zhang Chen then asked Lu Qing, have all the procedures been completed? Went well? Lu Qing smiled and said, it seems that the whole world is the same, the god of wealth is the most eloquent in speaking. When Zhang Chen heard this, he knew that everything had been done. Xiaofang greeted everyone, come in, I'm hungry. Everyone walked into the restaurant together and saw Zhang Xiangbei occupying one of the only 2 round tables in the restaurant, standing up and waving to them. Everyone walked over and sat down. When they turned around and looked around, they could see the Rockefeller sculpture park outside the glass. Unfortunately, the row near the glass was for 2 people, and their table was in the second row. Zhang Xiangbei told them that his meal had been ordered. Then he raised his hand and a waiter came over. Zhang Xiangbei told him in English that the food was ready to be served. Lu Qing asked Zhang Chen, Brother Zhang, after reading this, do you have any idea? Zhang Chen said there was. Here I would like to introduce Matisse's Dance, Picasso's Les Demoiselles d'Avignon, and Dali's The Eternity of Memory. From The Eternity of Memory we can talk about Feng Qiudong, one of the protagonists of the Stars Art Exhibition, who participated in the painting Untitled in the Stars Art Exhibition was influenced by Dali's painting. Feng Qiudong was very miserable. He worked as a street sweeper for the Beijing Sanitation Company in 2007 or 2006 and died very young. What can be mentioned here are the works of Chagall, Rousseau, and Modigliani, pop art, Andy Warhol. You have already done a special topic, but I will not do it. I want to do Mondrian, Dadaism, I would like to introduce Duchamp. Won't you introduce Van Gogh and Gauguin? Zhao Xian asked from the side. Zhang Chen said, of course I have to introduce Gauguin, Cézanne, and Monet. The Met also has many of their works. I want to combine them and introduce them together. Van Gogh, I want to focus on his painting Apricot Blossoms in Bloom. You can start with the introduction from his relationship with his brother Theo, and explain why this painting given to his nephew will be so heartwarming that it makes people cry. Of course, I can also introduce his Starry Moon Night by the way. When I go to the Museum of Modern Art, I introduce Van Gogh without introducing Starry Moon Night. It always makes sense. After all, it is Van Gogh's worst work. At least let everyone know about it. The original is here, in New York. Lu Qing said yes. The dishes were served, and the first appetizer was served. Zhang Xiangbei ordered Cabernet Sauvignon grape foie gras and truffle pasta for everyone. When the yellow cream pasta came, 2 waiters held 2 large white spoons. Truffle, followed over and shaved truffles onto each of their pasta. Everyone tasted it and thought it was delicious. Zhang Chen said that this American really looked like a nouveau riche. What's wrong? Xiaofang asked. No matter how rich they are, they can't make delicious food. Delicious food is either Chinese food, French food, or Spanish and Portuguese restaurants, Zhang Chen said. Mexican restaurants are also delicious, Zhang Xiangbei said. Xiao Fang smiled and said, Americans deserve to be ridiculed like this by you. What Americans can cook is hamburgers and even roast turkey. I guarantee that you will not want to eat it again after you have eaten it once. After the appetizer, came the main course. Zhang Xiangbei considered that no one else had eaten the dishes here except him and Xiao Fang, so he ordered the same dishes for everyone without asking for opinions. Xiao Fang laughed when the first main dish was served. She said, "Guess what Bai Bei calls this dish?" Zhang Chen looked at the plate in front of him. The bottom was fried rice, the top was covered with what seemed to be lobster meat, and the top was a layer of black truffle. Zhang Chen said, "Lobster fried rice." Xiao Fang said, "It's almost like lobster with black truffle crispy rice. This is the name given by Bai Bei." Everyone laughed. Zhang Chen said, "You are really straightforward, and you can understand it immediately, but where did this crispy rice come from?" Zhang Xiangbei said, "Try it, this rice really tastes like crispy rice." Zhang Chen tasted it. The rice was stir-fried with lobster juice. It was very stir-fried, and it was almost crispy. The lobster meat on top was stewed slowly over low heat and was extremely tender. With the addition of black truffle, it's a perfect combination. Several people nodded together and agreed with Zhang Xiangbei's statement about crispy rice. The second main course is slow-braised sea bass. The original sea bass has no fishy smell at all. It is served with green celery roots. Take a bite of the sea bass and then another bite of celery. Your mouth will be filled with a rich fragrance. Even people like Zhang Chen, who usually would not touch fish without red chili sauce, not only ate it, but also had to admit that the fish was delicious. The last dessert served was chocolate marquise. The shape of the dessert was very unique, like an exquisite sculpture. There was a thin layer of cream cake on one side, and a cylindrical chocolate mousse cake on the cake. It is a round Earl Grey flavored ice cream, and on top of the cake and ice cream are two curly chocolate strands of different thicknesses. Zhao Xi inside, "It looks so good, I can't even bear to eat it." Lu Qing smiled and said, "I feel the same way." While they were still admiring it, several men started to eat it. The cameraman said to Lu Qing, "It's delicious. It's delicious. Try it quickly." After lunch, it was already past 2 o'clock, and Xiao Fang wanted to go back to the company. She told Zhang Chen and the others that we would go to Street 39 in the evening, just next to the Langham Hotel. There is a good Chinese restaurant there. "Is this Huijin restaurant?" Zhang Xiangbei asked. Xiao Fang said, "Yes, Bai Bei, you have been there before. After you visit, you can go directly there or go back to the hotel." "I will go there directly after get off work." Zhang Chen and Zhang Xiangbei both agreed. Xiao Fang said goodbye to them and left. Lu Qing asked Zhang Xiangbei, "Bai Bei, what are our arrangements next?" "We will walk from here to the Guggenheim Museum and stroll around Fifth Avenue. It only takes 20 minutes. We will be in the metropolis all day tomorrow." Zhang Xiangbei said. Zhang Chen, Lu Qing and others nodded. The group of people walked north along Fifth Avenue. After walking for more than 10 minutes, they saw the Metropolitan Museum. It was on the opposite side of the road, next to Central Park. There were many people at the door. Tourists from all over the world, just like when you arrive in Paris, you must go to the Louvre Museum, and when you arrive in Beijing, you must visit the Forbidden City. When you arrive in New York, even if you know nothing about art, your tour guide or your New York friends will guide you there. Come to the Metropolitan Museum. They followed Zhang Xiangbei's arrangement and did not stop at the entrance of the Metropolitan Museum, but continued walking north. Not far away, I saw a white building on the corner of the street in front of me, resembling a conch, and also like a Siemens spring that was thin in the middle and thick at the ends. Needless to say, Everyone knew that this was the famous Guggenheim Museum. The Guggenheim Museum building itself is a work of art, designed by American architectural design master Frank Lloyd Wright. In his design, Wright tried to use a three-dimensional spiral structure instead of a circular plane structure to contain a space so that people can truly experience movement in the space. He believed that people walked along the spiral ramp. At this time, the surrounding space is continuous and gradual, rather than fragmentary and folded. Wright summed up his Guggenheim design philosophy in one sentence: a continuous curve that never breaks. The main exhibition hall of the Guggenheim is 6 stories high. It does not have the layered design of ordinary exhibition halls. The hollow hall is an inverted spiral space 30 meters high, with a petal-shaped glass roof on top, which makes the entire exhibition. The lighting in the hall is very good. Surrounding the hall, there is a corridor formed by an ever-increasing spiral slope. The ground rises slowly at a slope of 3%. People will not feel tired at all when walking on such a slope. One side of the corridor is a hollow hall, and the other side is a hollow hall. On the wall on one side are hanging exhibits. There is an ear hall on each floor of the cloister. As a special exhibition hall, special exhibition halls have been systematically set up for famous painters such as Kandinsky, Monet, Gauguin, etc. Sitting on a stool in the center of the exhibition hall, staring blankly, it is a great pleasure to read the works of these masters. The visitor walked forward while looking at the exhibits. He could not feel it himself. He was also rising at the same time. When he turned around to look at all the exhibits, he suddenly realized that he had arrived at the exhibition area without knowing it. The highest point has reached the 6th floor, and the petal-shaped glass ceiling is right in front of you. When visitors come in, they can also take the elevator directly to the 6th floor, and then walk down while admiring the works on the cloister wall, which is even easier. The collection of the Guggenheim Museum is not large, but every piece is priceless. When Zhang Chen and others came in, the first thing they saw was what Zhang Xiangbei said: the work made by Cai Kuoqiang, a Fujianese, using gunpowder. Thank you for the reward from half drunk and half awake, ranked third from top to bottom, 2 fishes one above the other, and 3 o'clock in the middle of the night. Thank you. Why can't I change my name? Walk with my heart. Book Friends 537 647, Readers 11963189776326411024, Book Friends 202003182329565519, monthly tickets specially for CAO Xiaomin and Kinkin's dad. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1655. The closing time of the Guggenheim Museum was 5:45 in the afternoon. Zhang Chen and the others stayed until closing time, then left and walked back along 5th Avenue. When they passed the Metropolitan Museum, they still entered at the gate. People coming in and out. Today is Friday, and on both Friday and Saturday, the Metropolitan Museum does not close until 9 p.m. Zhang Chen looked at his watch and saw that it was still early. He told Zhao Xian, Lu Qing, and the others, "Let's go in and take a look." Everyone else agreed, but Zhang Xiangbei sat down on the steps at the door, looked at Zhang Chen from bottom to top and said, "Either I sit here and wait for you." Zhang Chen knew that Zhang Xiangbei was not interested in it, so he said, "Zhang Xiangbei, you are the translator, don't be lazy." Zhang Xiangbei had no choice but to stand up and follow them inside. Zhao Xian and Zhang Chen said, "Boss, we can learn from this method. On Fridays and Saturdays, the closing time is extended to 9 o'clock in the evening. We can also do it. There are so many people coming to visit Meisi River on weekends. If we also open the museum, we will definitely attract more people to visit our museum on weekends." Zhang Chen said, "Yes, this is a good idea. Then I will implement it immediately when I get back," Zhao Xian said. Zhang Chen nodded. Today is Zhang Chen's second visit to the Metropolitan Museum of Art. The last time he came to New York, he spent half a day here, but he still felt that there was not enough time and he was not satisfied. The Metropolitan Museum of Art is not the largest among the major museums. The entire museum is just one building, covering an area of 8 hectares, which is only 1/9 of the size of the Palace Museum in Beijing. However, its actual exhibition area is very large, with enough at more than 24 hectares, it is twice the size of the Palace Museum. The good things in the Palace Museum really like to be hidden and kept secret. People who have visited the Forbidden City may feel this way. Most of the time they are actually looking at the house. They are really playing, not visiting. The whole thing in the Forbidden City, there is either a no visitors allowed hanging here, or there is a big lock on that side. There are not many collections that you can really see. The Metropolitan Museum of Art has more than 200 galleries alone, and more than 3.3 million art treasures from all over the world, most of which are on display all year round. Zhang Chen and Lu Qing said, the characteristic of the Metropolitan Museum is that there is no so-called treasure of the museum, but another characteristic of it is that it has works by almost everyone, such as works by Raphael and Titian, Caravaggio to Ingres, Rubens, Bruegel, Courbet, etc. The works of almost all the famous painters in the history of world art that you can name are here. We have to take more pictures here. Many of the pictures we take may not be used temporarily, but they can be kept as materials. When we go to Europe next time and photograph these painters again, these materials can be used. Lu Qing turned around and asked the camera if you heard it. The cameraman said, as long as Mr. Zhang says hello to me, I will take a photo. Zhang Chen said yes. Zhao Xian was surprised at the sight. He asked Zhang Chen, how could such a big museum not have a treasure of the museum? Yes, when you talk about the Louvre, you can immediately name the Venus de Milo, the Statue of Victory and the Mona Lisa, but there is really none here. Many people regard Degas' dance classroom as it is the treasure of the museum, but in my opinion, it is far inferior to Pissarro's landscape paintings. Even among Degas's own works, Dance Classroom is not considered the best work. If you ask Americans, they will still regard Washington crossing the Delaware River as a treasure of the museum, but in fact, you will know when you see this painting, the level is lower than Sargent's. Painting, at best, is the creation of major themes in our country. Are there any good works of this kind of propositional composition? If I were to make a review, I would regard Pissarro's Montmartre Street on a winter morning as the treasure of the museum here. How wonderful that painting is! When you stand in front of it, it feels like you can smell it with your nose, and you can still hear the mixed sounds in the fresh air after the snow on the streets of Paris. When they were saying this, they were coming out of the 19th century European Painting and Sculpture Exhibition Hall and preparing to go to the next exhibition hall. Zhao Xian said, "Boss, where is this painting? Quickly take us to see it." Zhang Chen said, "I don't know if they have made any adjustments." It turns out that the Impressionists had several exhibition halls connected together. There are no adjustments, it's still the same. Zhang Xiangbei said that he had no impression of the painting, but he still remembered the exhibition hall very clearly. The group was about to go there when Xiaofang called and asked where they were. She had already arrived at Huijin restaurant. Zhang Chen said, "Okay, we will come right away." After hanging up the phone, Zhang Chen told everyone, "That's it for today. Let's go and eat. Anyway, we still have one day here tomorrow." Knowing that Xiaofang was waiting for them, the group descended the high steps at the entrance of the Metropolitan Museum and quickened their pace as they walked forward. Zhang Xiangbei led them from 5th Avenue to 39th Street, turned right, and saw a light box not far ahead, with the two Chinese characters Huijin written on a white background and dark green. It goes without saying that this is definitely a Chinese restaurant. The door of Huijin restaurant was not big, and the wooden framed glass door was closed. Zhang Xiangbei pushed the door open and went in. There were two women standing inside the door. They nodded and bowed. The older one was in her 30s. Has short hair and is wearing a suit. He looks very energetic. He should be the proprietress or manager of this store. The younger girls were dressed like waiters. Zhang Chen and the others had already walked over. The woman in a suit said something to the girl. Zhang Chen stopped and asked, "Are you from Wenzhou?" The two people opposite were a little surprised. The woman in a suit asked Zhang Chen, "Can you understand Wenzhou dialect?" Zhang Chen smiled and said, "If you tell me more clearly, I might even be able to tell where you are from Wenzhou." The two looked at each other, somewhat disbelieving. The woman in the suit said again, this time with a higher volume. She was also talking to the girl, but she was speaking to Zhang Chen. Zhang Chen said, "Is it from the bank?" Both women were surprised, and the woman in a suit shouted softly, "It's so awesome. Our Wenzhou dialect is already difficult to understand. Can you still tell where we are from?" "Sir, are you from Wenzhou too?" Zhang Chen shook his head, "I'm from Zhejiang, but not Wenzhou. I'm from Yongcheng." "Do you know Yongcheng?" "Of course I know Yongcheng," the woman in the suit said. "There is a Wu opera troupe in Yongcheng, and they used to go to our town every year." As she spoke, she stared at Zhang Chen, and suddenly her eyes lit up. "Sir, are you the curly hair who painted the scenery in the troupe?" At this time, it was Zhang Chen's turn to be surprised. He shouted, "Do you know me?" The woman in the suit burst out laughing and said happily, "It's really true. What a coincidence. I just said that you look familiar. You guys used to go to our place every year. How could I not recognize you? You were the one who painted my grandpa's portrait, but I was only that old then." As she spoke, she made gestures on her chest with her hands. Zhang Chen also laughed. Zhang Chen asked, "Are you Huijin?" Yes, Huijin nodded. "What a coincidence, but your hair is not that curly anymore." Zhang Chen smiled and said, "I was still hot at that time." "People are fatter than then," Huijin continued. If you eat too much, you will gain weight," Zhang Chen said, and everyone laughed. Just as they were talking, new guests came in, and Xiaofang waved to them again. Zhang Chen and Huijin said, "Let's go in first." Huijin nodded and said, "Okay, please." Zhang Chen and the others walked in and walked to Xiaofang. Xiaofang asked, "What were you talking about with the landlady at the door for so long?" Zhang Xiangbei said, "The boss's wife recognized Dad. They knew each other before." "Really, such a coincidence," Xiaofang shouted. Zhang Chen quickly said, "It's not that we know each other, but she has met me before. At that time, our troupe would tour in Wenzhou every year. Within a few months, we visited almost every small town in the counties below Wenzhou. By the way, Zhang Xiangbei, you don't know where you are at any time." "What a coincidence," Lu Qing said. Zhang Chen nodded. Because of this encounter, everyone was a little excited, and the atmosphere at the dinner table was very warm. After a while, Huijin came over and said to Zhang Chen, "Painter Zhang, I see that your dishes have been ordered. Can I give you another seafood fried rice noodles? Do you have the Wenzhou fine noodles just sent from China?" Zhang Chen said yes. "Great." She even remembered her last name. It seemed that Huijin was really not lying when she said she knew Zhang Chen. Huijin nodded and had no intention of walking away. Instead, she raised her hand to say hello to the girl in the distance. It seemed that she was really happy to meet Zhang Chen here and wanted to chat with them more. Meeting. Huijin asked, "Painter Zhang, are you all traveling from China?" Zhang Chen said, "No, we are here to work." He patted Zhang Xiangbei beside him and said to her, "This is my son, he is studying here." Huijin smiled and looked at Xiaofang, who was sitting with Zhang Xiangbei, and said, "Then this is your wife. She is so beautiful." She must be here to accompany her to study. This is probably not the first time I have seen her. Xiaofang's face blushed slightly, and she quickly pointed to Zhang Xiangbei and said, I am his aunt, I work here, yes, I have been to your place twice before. Aha, we will be acquaintances from now on. Welcome, Huijin said, and Xiaofang quickly said thank you. Zhang Chen then introduced Zhao Xian and said, this is my colleague, and then introduced Lu Qing and others, saying that they are from CCTV. Then they are all big shots, Huijin said. Lu Qing and the others laughed, and Lu Qing said, they are just ordinary staff members, not big shots. However, I am also from Zhejiang, so we are half fellow villagers. Zhang Chen said yes, she is from Hangzhou. Lu Qing asked Huijin to sit down for a while. Huijin turned around and saw that there was nothing going on in the restaurant for the time being, so she sat down. Lu Qing asked, are there many Wenzhou people in New York? Huijin said, there are not many here in New York, but there are many in Chicago. In the Chinese wholesale market in Chicago, we are all Wenzhou people. Zhang Chen sighed, Wenzhou people are so courageous. Back then, they dared to travel all over the country without speaking a word of Mandarin. Now, even if they can't speak a word of English, they dare to travel all over the world. Huijin smiled and said, I was forced to come out to make a living. I have been in the United States for more than 4 years. I can speak English now. But if you show me an American newspaper, I can't understand a word. We ourselves can't understand a word. I was joking about how I became illiterate when I arrived in the United States. Everyone laughed. Zhang Chen asked, did you open this store yourself? Huijin nodded. Is your husband working as a chef in the back? Zhang Chen continued to ask. Huijin asked, how do you know? Zhang Chen said, isn't that the case all the time? Huijin nodded. Huijin remembered something and asked, by the way, Painter Zhang, is that white lady in your group okay now? Zhang Chen knew that she was asking Tan Shahen, so Zhang Chen said, okay, now he is the big boss, a real estate developer. It's amazing, Huijin said, at that time, as long as you came to our place, the children in our town would go to the ruined temple to see you every day. The boys all liked to see the white lady, she was so pretty. Zhang Chen joked, what about you? Do you all like to watch Su Xian? Huijin shook her head, I don't like it. Your Su Xian is a bit effeminate. We little girls all like to see it. Huijin said and looked at Zhang Xiangbei. Xiaofang smiled and said, it doesn't matter. You agreed, he is already an adult. Before Huijin could say anything, she started laughing. She said, we all like to see you, Painter Zhang. You are so good at painting, but you are still a curly hair. Everyone laughed, Zhang Chen blushed, Huijin turned to look at the kitchen, Zhang Chen quickly said. Don't let your husband hear it. If he comes out with a knife to chop me, I won't be able to bear it. Everyone laughed even more. At this moment, the seafood fried noodles came. Everyone quickly put a chopstick into their own small bowls, took a bite, and all said it was delicious. Zhang Xiangbei said, it's even more delicious than the crispy rice at noon. When they were paying for the meal, Huijin disappeared in the restaurant. It was the girl who came to pay for them. She told Zhang Chen that the fried rice noodles were given by the landlady, and the other dishes were given a 30% discount by the landlady. Zhang Chen quickly said, no need to discount. The boss lady said she wanted it, and she returned it. You are welcome to come back next time, the girl said. Thank you Quadratic VC for the reward. Thank you Lu, forgot your password from Xinlei, Xuanlin, Zipanjiang1, and book friend 2019110211354671 for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you a nice weekend. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1656. The next day, Zhang Chen and the others visited the Metropolitan Museum for a day. When they returned home in the evening, Zhang Chen sat at the dining table and wrote down the plans for shooting in each museum, while chatting with Xiaofang and Zhang Xiangbei. Sky. The three of them chatted until about 9 o'clock. Zhang Xiangbei went back to the room to go online. Xiaofang came over, added water to Zhang Chen's cup, held her own cup, and simply sat at the dining table and looked at Zhang Chen. Writing a plan. Zhang Chen asked Xiaofang, "Have you made preparations for returning to China?" Xiaofang said that there was actually nothing to prepare for, but it was just a matter of working in a different city, and the content of the work was similar. The difference was that the responsibilities and pressure on the shoulders would be heavier than on Wall Street. Why? Zhang Chen asked. It's very simple. Customers have high expectations for the Chinese market. If I don't want to disappoint them, I have to work hard to achieve better results than here, Xiaofang said. Moreover, there are very mature people here. Team, when we go back to China, everything needs to start again. Zhang Chen nodded, looked at Xiaofang opposite and asked, "Is there anything I can do to help you?" Xiaofang shook her head and said, "Not yet. I'm not very familiar with the situation in China. I don't have a clue yet. I'll have to wait until I get familiar with the situation after I go back. I have some colleagues on Wall Street. I went back first, and now it looks like I'm doing pretty well, but I don't want to follow the same path as them." "What did they do?" Zhang Chen asked. "Road robbery," Xiaofang said with a smile. "They are the kind of people who come from home, have average abilities, and speak loudly. Their mantra is to say to their customers, 'I may not guarantee that you will be able to go public, but I can definitely guarantee that you will be listed on the market.' They can't be listed on the market, haha. If customers encounter them, they'll just go sideways no matter what they do." Zhang Chen knew what kind of family Xiaofang was talking about and who these people were. He cursed, "It's really a naked threat, no different from a car bandit or a road bully." "But in fact, they put themselves in a very dangerous position," Xiaofang said. "The ties are too tight. If the big tree at home falls down, they will be killed too. What's more, according to the laws of nature, those who can protect you are older than you, and there will always be a day when they cannot protect you. What will you do then? I think it is very short-sighted." Zhang Chen was right. Any money that comes from illegitimate sources, you have got the money, but you have offended a large number of people. They are just too angry and dare not speak out for the time being. Once the time is right, this force will seize the opportunity counterattack. Xiaofang's hands were gently stroking the dining table and she said, "Brother-in-law, you are right. So when they asked me to be their partner, I refused. Even if I return to China, I don't want to deal with them. I don't want to wade into that muddy water. I just want to be simple. Although in China these few years it is developing rapidly, but it is still a market whose potential has not been fully exploited. I want to find some industries or companies, invest in them in the long term, and grow with them. Xiaofang, I very much support your idea. Some people still want to stay away from you. I won't offend you, but I can't be tied to you either," Zhang Chen said. "If you don't talk about other things, look at the corrupt officials. When something goes wrong, a string of companies will follow. The bosses of these companies will follow them when they are fine. By then, they will have to get to know them. But it's already too late. By that time, everything will be out of your hands. Not to mention that you can't keep your wealth or your business. You just want to be an ordinary person and it's impossible to make a mediocre meal every day. If allowed, I think they are willing to give up all their wealth at this time in exchange for the qualifications to have a mediocre meal. Isn't it very sad? If the second half is so miserable, no matter how wonderful and arrogant you are in the first half, it will be just a passing cloud. What's the point? I know, brother-in-law. To be honest, I really look down on them from the bottom of my heart. I think what they do has no technical content at all and is boring. Xiaofang snorted contemptuously. Zhang Chen thought to himself, it is necessary to have such a pride. Xiaofang, I hope you can maintain it. By the way, brother-in-law, are the funds in your company very tight now? Xiaofang asked. Zhao Jingjing called me a few days ago and said that he wanted to transfer some of the funds in his overseas account back. Zhang Chen said yes, we do need to transfer some funds back, but it is not to the extent of financial shortage. They are mainly Amazon customers. All payments are settled to overseas accounts. In this way, the funds in overseas accounts have grown very much. Quick! Zhang Chen simply put down his pen and told Xiaofang one by one about the current situation in the company and several things he was doing now. Xiaofang kept nodding her head. She also agreed with Zhang Chen's decision to invest in the logistics space. Yes, I am also interested in that e-commerce industrial park. Xiaofang said, the development of the internet will definitely eliminate many companies, change the original business model, and reduce many intermediate links between product providers and users. But one thing cannot be changed, and that is that goods still need to be only through distribution channels can it reach the hands of consumers. In this way, the logistics space will become the most basic hardware in the end. No city can exist without relying on the logistics space, and I think this dependence will only get bigger and bigger. This is a good project. By the way, brother-in-law, my client's funds can be invested in your project and your logistics network can be quickly spread across the country. Zhang Chen shook his head and said, I don't want it anymore. I just want to be conservative and do it step by step. I don't need financing or owe money. No one can control me. This way there is no pressure. Xiaofang chuckled, that's right. In this world, there is no money without strings attached. All investment funds will definitely have strict gambling agreements. Well, you can do it at your own pace. That's fine, but I can give you my own money so you can expand a few more bases. Zhang Chen was speechless. Xiaofang looked at him and asked, why didn't you take it? I know, you must have told Zhao Jingjing not to accept it, right? Zhang Chen said, didn't I say that I haven't reached the time when funds are tight? Besides, aren't you going back to China to start a business soon? Isn't your money just right for use? My money is in the account, but it's useless. Brother-in-law, just take it when you need it. Xiaofang said, when I return to China, I won't use my own money to invest. It's impossible. I can't do that. Zhang Chen felt strange and asked, why? It's not ethical. Xiaofang said, the ethics of investment. Investment ethics? What do you mean? Zhang Chen asked. People are selfish, and this selfishness often exists subconsciously. Xiaofang said, brother-in-law, think about it, if I bundle clients' funds with my own funds for investment, will this happen? That is, when encountering extreme events, in order to ensure my own financial security or income, of course, will the interests of customers be sacrificed? Also, if I use my own funds to invest, I will pour too much personal emotion into it, which can easily make me lose my way. I am unable to conduct objective and calm analysis, judgment, and decision-making on many things. When investing, you either have to devote yourself wholeheartedly to obtaining better investment returns for your clients, and then you get the benefits you deserve, or you become a self-employed person, where you completely operate your own funds, and you must not mix the two types of funds together. You will subconsciously differentiate between the two types of funds, which is unfair to customers. Zhang Chen said, I understand. Zhang Chen talked to Xiaofang about the house in Shanghai. As expected, Xiaofang told him that I didn't need it. I could just find a hotel nearby to stay. Zhang Chen said, you are not on a business trip in Shanghai, but to put down roots. If you don't have your own house and live in a hotel, you will always have a temporary and wandering feeling. When you return to Shanghai, I think, the company's location, it shouldn't go beyond Lugiasy, that house is very close to Lugiasy, and Century Avenue ends at the entrance of the community. Zhang Chen laughed as he spoke, and said, moreover, Xiaoshu and I designed the decoration of your house together. The furniture inside was all bought by Xiaoshu for you. Xiaoshu doesn't want his sister to, I'll stay in a hotel after returning to Shanghai. Xiaofang also smiled and said, okay, then I will thank my brother-in-law and thank you Xiaoshu. Xiaofang stood up and said to Zhang Chen, I won't disturb you anymore. I keep talking to you and you can't even write your shooting plan. Zhang Chen said, no, look, didn't I write a lot? Zhang Chen tapped the A4 paper in front of him with his pen and told Xiaofang that when he and Xiaofang were chatting, he would indeed write something on the paper from time to time, but it didn't look like he was writing any plans. Xiaofang stretched out her head to take a look curiously. Listed on the piece of paper was a long list of names, such as Manet, Seurat, Corot, Paul Klee, etc. Xiaofang burst into laughter. Brother-in-law, is this your plan? It's too simple. Zhang Chen said yes, that's all. As long as I can remind myself, don't miss the people on the list. When the time comes, if you take a picture, I will check it off. You don't need to introduce them, Xiaofang said. She had never seen Zhang Chen and the others filming before and didn't know how they worked. Zhang Chen said introduction, of course it must be introduced, but how to introduce it depends on improvisation. At the beginning, we wrote the script seriously, but it made me feel like I was endorsing something, which was very unnatural. Lu Qing also thought that when I followed the pre-written script, it was far less effective than my temporary nonsense. 8 ways of success, that's it, we scrapped the script, just some key numbers, such as dates, I will check the information later and mark them on the side. Zhang Chen said, and Xiaofang kept laughing. She said, I originally thought that you guys should be serious about making TV, but I didn't expect that you guys were just playing house. Of course I am serious. If not, there is no need for us to check out the spots in the past 2 days. However, this is a relatively relaxed program. We will not restrict ourselves too much in terms of format, otherwise the audience will not be able to watch it. It will be very awkward, Zhang Chen said. Okay, I believe you, Xiaofang said with a smile. Thank you to Xiao Shen Nian Fang 48, Quadratic VC, Baby Tin Soldier, third from top to bottom, 3 o'clock in the middle of the night, 2 fishes, 1 above and 1 below. Thank you for being 48 years old, Baby Tin Soldier, third from top to bottom, more than 3 o'clock in the middle of the night, whereon, Evergreen Yan Dotty, Book Friend 20210109105822605, listening to Sandy, Tianma Sing Kong, and Hao, Mao, Yuingzi, Frivolous, 3 monthly tickets for Randaxia, Self, Book Friends 20190109214257174, Hoo, Kao, Purple Hao, Hey Mr. Zhang, Huanyu Len Muo. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1657. In the next few days, Zhang Chen and the others were busy shooting. Zhang Xiangbei took the paper and the camera according to the painters and works that Zhang Chen wanted to shoot. During the day on Sunday, the two of them went to the university again. Metropolitan Museum. After returning, Zhang Xiangbei renumbered the painters Zhang Chen wrote about from 1 to N, and also drew a road map. Lu Qing and the cameraman were overjoyed when they saw it. They both exaggerated Xiangbei's cleverness. As long as he followed Zhang Xiangbei's route map and took pictures along the way, there would be no omissions and a lot of time spent running back and forth in the museum would be saved. When Zhang Xiangbei and the camera went to the Metropolitan Museum, Zhao Xian and Zhang Chen were searching for information on the internet. Lu Qing sat aside, and Zhang Chen told Lu Qing roughly what he wanted to say one by one. Zhang Chen said, I can't tell you too much in detail, because if I tell you too much in detail, it won't be exciting. Lu Qing said yes. She used a notebook to write down all the highlights that Zhang Chen said. In this way, if Zhang Chen missed something during the actual shooting, she could remind him from the side. At 5 o'clock, they entered the Metropolitan Museum and waited in the reception room in the office area. The director arranged for a staff member to accompany them. When the museum closed at 5:30, the cleaning staff were still cleaning. They immediately entered each exhibition hall and started working. That night and the next day, they went over what they had already shot and reshot any deficiencies the next night. The next day, the work was over on Monday night, and most of the content had been shot. Lu Qing asked Zhang Xiangbei to make an agreement with the museum to shoot another night on Wednesday, because they had to shoot at the Museum of Modern Art for the whole day the next day. At 9:30 a.m. on Tuesday, they entered the Museum of Modern Art for filming. Tuesday was the closing day of the Museum of Modern Art, but the modern restaurant was still open. The door leading to the inside of the museum was locked, but it opened to the outside. The road gate is still open. Zhang Chen and the others spent their lunch and dinner here. They also took advantage of the lunch and dinner time to go over what they had already photographed and continue to add what needed to be added. We stayed at the Guggenheim during the day on Wednesday and went to the Met in the evening. The Guggenheim was closed on Thursday. On this day, Xiaofang and Zhang Xiangbei took Zhang Chen and the others for a day trip and saw the Statue of Liberty. They visited the September 11th site, Times Square and the Empire State Building. Xiaofang also took them to the High Line Park, which is rarely visited by domestic tourists but she likes it very much. The High Line is located on the west side of Midtown Manhattan. It was originally a dedicated railway freight line built in 1930 to connect the Meatpacking District and the Hudson Harbor on 34th Street. By 1980, it was transporting operations ceased after the last 3 carriages of frozen turkeys were shipped. After that, owners of nearby properties began lobbying the government to demolish the abandoned elevated railway. However, opposition voices also exist, and some people even took the group who advocated demolition of the railway to the court and applied for an injunction from the court. This left New York City with a dilemma, but the elevated railway remained abandoned and therefore remained abandoned there. In 1999, freelance writer Joshua David and Metropolitan Museum director Robert Hammond, who live near the elevated railway, founded the non-profit organization Friends of the High Line, FHL. Advocating the preservation and reuse of the High Line as a public open space. Their initiative was supported by the then New York Mayor Bloomberg and the City Council. Planning and renovation of the High Line began in 2002. When Zhang Chen and others arrived, the second section of the project had just been completed. Open to the public. This elevated railway, which is more than 9 meters above the ground, has been transformed into a sky garden after reconstruction. It is 2.4 kilometers long and looks like a green river. It passes by tall buildings or empty riverside parks and can be admired along the way. Enjoy the beautiful scenery and the Hudson River, and pass by some landmarks, such as the Statue of Liberty, the Empire State Building, Rockefeller Center, and more. The park has up and down stairs or passages that connect it to the ground and these scenic spots along the way. On the day they arrived, a painter's pen painting exhibition was being held on a viewing platform. When Zhang Chen saw this open-air exhibition, he felt that it was very similar to the Stars Art exhibition in Beijing back then. The Stars Art exhibition, which has a great influence on the entire Chinese art, was not held in any art museum, but in the open-air park outside the National Art Museum of China. A group of art lovers hung their works in the art museum. On the iron fence and on the trees, at that time, the National Art Exhibition of the 30th anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic of China was being held in the Art Museum. Audiences from all over the country who came to visit the art exhibition were attracted by these never-seen works outside the art museum. The Stars Art Exhibition quickly became a topic in the art world and aroused heated discussions. These young people's exploration and the creation frightened some old gentlemen, and also received the support of a large number of old gentlemen such as Wu Ziren. The following year, the second Stars Art Exhibition finally obtained the qualification to enter the National Art Museum of China. When it was exhibited at the National Art Museum of China, it caused a sensation, with 100,000 viewers pouring into the museum. On Friday afternoon, Zhang Chen and the others entered the Guggenheim Museum for additional shooting. After the day's work, their shooting work in the 3 major museums and art galleries in New York was completed. But their trip in New York was not over. Next, they were going to do more exciting work for them. Xiao Fang helped them contact some private art collectors, and Zhang Chen and the others wanted to enter their foundation. Private art museums, and even offices and homes. This is not an opportunity that everyone can get, not even CCTV. The collections photographed are also rarely seen. Most of these private collectors are members of the Skull and Bones Society at Yale University. After the filming at the Guggenheim ended, they went to Huijin restaurant for dinner. Today, only the girl was there and Huijin was not. The girl told them that the boss's wife went to Chicago today to attend the wedding of a relative's child. Everyone sat down around the dining table. It was the first time for Zhao Xian and Lu Qing to hear the word Skull and Bones Society, and they were very interested. Zhao Xian asked Xiao Fang, "What kind of organization is this? The name sounds so scary, and it is full of people. Terrorist?" Xiao Fang smiled and said, "No, it is a secret student society at Yale University. Every year, it recruits 15 members from Yale's third-year students." "Xiao Fang, are you a member of this Skull and Bones Society?" Zhao Xian asked. "Of course not. Although the Skull and Bones Society only absorbed a female member in 1991 for the first time, it has only absorbed one female member so far. The Skull and Bones Society is a fraternity, and they're newly joined in principle. Members must be male, white, and come from a prominent family in the eastern United States," Xiao Fang said. "Oh, in that case, there is no hope for Bai. You are not white," Zhao Xian said. "Oh, the boss is not in the eastern United States. You only meet one of the 3 points, and there is no chance. I don't want to participate. These old Americans are all childish. They are in college, but their mental age is still about the same as that of our junior high school students," Zhang Xiangbei said disdainfully. Zhang Chen said, "That's because their life experience is simple and they are not as bitter and resentful as us. Zhang Xiangbei, you are the same. When we were teenagers, we went to the mountains to chop firewood and went to the fields to study farming and plant rice. There were many classmates, and we also just farmers. Do you have this experience? You don't even know what firewood is. With different experiences, the formation of thoughts and worldviews will of course be different. We think you are more naive than us, and you think they are more naive than you, but they may die. This is the ideological understanding and attitude towards life. Mr. Zhang, in one sentence, hard times make people cunning, and cunning people look more mature," the camera interjected, and everyone laughed. "It was the same when I was studying in Europe. Western students seem to particularly like to engage in such secret societies. I haven't heard of any Chinese students who like to engage in such secret societies," Lu Qing said. Xiao Fang is right. There are 12 such secret societies at Yale, and Skull and Bones is the most influential. Some people say that Skull and Bones controls the United States. So powerful? The camera asked. Xiao Fang nodded and said, "This is not an exaggeration. Members of the Skull and Bones Society have produced 3 U.S. presidents, 2 Supreme Court justices, dozens of cabinet members, and hundreds of members of the House and Senate. The CIA and even more so the Skull and Bones. In the 2004 US presidential election, Democratic candidate John Kerry competed with Republican candidate George W. Bush. As a result, the media dug deeper and discovered that the candidates of these two different parties were actually members of the Skull and Bones Society, so everyone called the presidential campaign that year a bone-on-bone clash. It's a skeleton. It's really amazing, the cameraman sighed. Not only that, the founders of the Blackstone Fund, members of the Rockefeller family, the Ponti family, the Harriman family, the Whitney family, the Lord family, and the Bush family have been its members for generations. The scariest thing is that the American Council on Foreign Service, American Enterprise Institute, Brookings Institution, American Historical Association, American Psychological Association and American Economics Association are all founded by members of the Skull and Bones Society. They control the mainstream thought and public opinion guidance of the United States through these societies. The Skull and Bones Society has about 800 living members, which is not a large number. However, it firmly controls all walks of life in the United States and has formed a huge interest group. Their purpose is to bring one of them people are pushed to the highest position, such as the President of the United States. This person then installs his brothers. The Skull and Bones is also called the Brotherhood of Death, and their power grows as a result. Every new member will get a membership handbook when he graduates, which records the names of all Skull and Bones members. By getting this handbook, you are equivalent to getting the opportunity to enter the upper-class society in the United States. As a stepping stone, you go to every member in the manual, and out of brotherhood, they must help you and support you. Xiaofang said. Zhang Chen laughed and said, "It sounds more like a gang." "That's true." Xiaofang nodded and said, "It is indeed very similar to our Chinese gang, and its initiation ceremony is also similar. Our gang's initiation ceremony is not a blood-based alliance. Their initiation ceremony, I heard it from a senior brother who is also one of their members. Do you want to listen?" Others were interested and quickly asked for it. Xiaofang smiled and said, "I took Bai to see. On the campus of Yale University, there is a 3-story building that looks like a Greek temple. It is never open to the public. A few long and narrow windows are closed all year round. The whole building is shrouded in a mysterious atmosphere. With a mysterious color, this inconspicuous building is the seat of the Skull and Bones Society. This building can park several helicopters on the roof. Many former members will helicopter directly to the roof when they return. There is a basement inside, which they call the grave. There is an initiation ceremony for new members, and those famous old members will also preach to their brothers in the grave when they return to New Haven. New members will be beaten naked on the dirt floor in the tomb, tied to a cross, and whipped with whips, just like Jesus, who finally lay in a coffin and confessed his sins. To talk about the sexual experience that you are most ashamed to talk about, they call this set of rituals rebirth, which cleanses your soul and body, and then you are reborn. After coming out of the coffin, the old members will help the new members put on their black robes, and then everyone will drink skull-soaked wine and kiss the skull. It is said that the skull was stolen from the tomb of George W. Bush's grandfather and is a Native American. The legendary hero Geronimo. If you put it this way, this Skull and Bones Society is more like a gang, Zhang Chen said. Yes, some people call the Skull and Bones Society an international mafia, Xiaofang said. From the way they control the political and economic lifeline of the United States, they are very similar, but because they are from Yale, there is a certain it's so confusing that they all call themselves elites. When I hear it, I feel more like a gentle robber, Zhao Xian said. On the negative side, yes, Xiaofang smiled, but on the positive side, they also promoted the progress and development of American society. It's better to be a gentle robber than those Robin Hoods. I like Robin Hood, Zhang Xiangbei shouted. The cameraman and Zhang Xiangbei said, "You can't be Robin Hood." Robin Hood specializes in robbing rich second-generation people like your dad and you. You can be Batman, which suits your identity. Xiaofang, is it your senior brother who introduced us to the shooting? Lu Qing asked. Xiaofang said yes, otherwise how would I know that they are all members of the Skull and Bones Society? Although the Skull and Bones Society is a secret group, in fact, their identities are not that secret. Some people even use their identities as members of the Skull and Bones Society show off, but if it's true or false, no one will know if it's not a real member, and no one will publicly admit that they are a member of the Skull and Bones Society. Thank you Quadratic VC for the reward. Thank you Quadratic VC, History and Geography, forgetting about the future and only remembering the original intention. 0HJKLG, Lao Dibao EI, The Flame of Morality, Big Brother, Lenny, Zipanjiang 1, Lao Huang, Book Friend 201710161731205355, Book Friend 2020091116010970, Gongzimian Z, Dong Monthly Votes for Long Dong, Zi Zhen Yu, UN 11, and Chuyo 2021091058222605. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1658. When the last day of filming in New York was about to end, it was already past 8 o'clock in the evening. The next day, Lu Qing and the others would fly back to Beijing directly from New York. Zhang Chen, Zhao Xian, and Zhang Xiangbei would have to wait another day. That is, flying back to Shanghai from New York the day after tomorrow. Jessica has arrived in New York today and will meet with Zhang Chen tomorrow. Therefore, Zhang Chen and the others will leave a day late. Jessica had long said that she would come to New York to see Zhang Chen, but Zhang Chen and the others had full schedules here every day. Only after all the work was completed today would Zhang Chen have time to meet her. Today's dinner is considered a farewell dinner. Xiaofang asked Lu Qing where she wanted to eat. Lu Qing said that she still wanted to go to a Huijin restaurant to feel more comfortable there. Xiaofang smiled, understanding what she meant. Xiaofang called Huijin. All the customers in Huijin's restaurant were gone and they were about to close. When they received a call from Xiaofang, she quickly asked, "How much time do you have until you arrive?" Xiaofang said, "More than half an hour. Is it too late?" "It doesn't matter, we are waiting for you, how rare it is," Huijin said. Xiaofang said, "Okay, thank you. By the way, Sister Huijin, you can help us arrange the menu. There will still be as many people as last time." Huijin said yes. When Zhang Chen and the others arrived, the light box of Huijin restaurant and the big light outside the door were turned off, leaving only an old spotlight on the top of the door, which illuminated the door a little. "Tell passers-by that this place is closed." Looking inside through the glass, half of the lights in the restaurant were darkened. Only an area near the corner was still bright, but that area was blocked by a screen, so the situation inside could not be seen from the outside. Xiaofang pushed the door open and went in. The doorbell rang. Huijin ran out of the kitchen and smiled when she saw them. "Here? What a coincidence, we have just prepared here." Huijin ushered everyone to sit down behind the screen and said to them, "I'm sorry, we don't have private rooms in the restaurant, so we can only simply cover it up." Zhang Chen and Lu Qing quickly said that this was fine. Xiaofang smiled and said, "Basically there are no private rooms in restaurants in New York, and only we Chinese like to go to private rooms to eat." Zhang Xiangbei is right, so Americans always talk quietly when eating. In fact, it is not restaurant etiquette, but because there are no private rooms. Everyone laughed, and Zhao Xian said, "Yeah, it's so uncomfortable not to make any noise when eating. It's better to be like our Tuxianjiayuan, where you can do karaoke while eating." "Here, be careful, the police arrest you," Xiaofang said. Huijin smiled and said, "It's true. Tourists from China like to ask, are there any private rooms, as soon as they enter the door. Just by saying this, I know they have just come from China." The girl had already got off work. Huijin served the food herself, and soon the table was full. Zhang Chen said, "There are no other guests. Let your husband come to eat too." Lu Qing and the others said yes, come together. Huijin smiled and said, "Okay, I'll call him." After a while, a very strong man wearing a white chef's uniform followed Huijin and began to look at them from a distance. When he arrived, he stared at Zhang Chen and shouted, looks like, really looks like Painter Zhang." Huijin said angrily, "What a real image. This is Painter Zhang." Zhang Chen quickly stood up and shook hands with him. Huijin's husband said, "Huijin told me that day, but I still didn't believe it. I just thought, how can there be such a coincidence? I haven't seen this artist for many years. We will meet him again in New York. New York is so big, and Painter Zhang will come to our place for dinner." Zhang Chen asked, "Are you also from the Kinku?" "Yes, from the bank." "That's wrong," Zhang Chen said, "you should have no impression of me, but you should have an impression of White Snake." Everyone laughed. Huijin said from the side, "He has an impression of White Snake, and he really has an impression of you." Huijin said and looked at her husband, wanting him to say it herself. Her husband just giggled and Huijin said, he also liked painting at that time. He published all the blackboard newspapers in our class. Painter Zhang, he would follow you wherever you were painting at that time. He wanted to learn from you, but he was too embarrassed to tell you. Is there anything else about this? Zhang Chen stared at him for a while, shook his head and said, I really can't remember. Huijin's husband said, hey, I was just a little kid at that time. Every time you drew, there were so many little kids following you. How could you notice me? Zhang Chen said, if I knew that more than 20 years later, I would still eat at your restaurant, I would definitely pay attention to you. The other people laughed wildly. Zhang Chen asked Huijin's husband to sit down too. Huijin introduced Xiaofang and Lu Qing to her husband one by one, and then introduced her husband. Zhang Chen and the others all knew her husband's name. Called Haizu. The cameraman said, this name is awesome, Haizu, the ancestor of the sea, then you will be the Dragon King of the East China Sea. The other people shouted, Dragon King wants to have a drink first. Haizu picked up the cup and said to everyone, okay, I don't know what to say. Anyway, I am very happy to see you all here. I will drink this cup first, and then I will toast you all. When Zhang Chen and the others heard this, they knew that he was a man of substance. While drinking and chatting, they occupied a corner of the restaurant and had a great time. Zhang Chen and Lu Qing were very interested in why Huijin and Haizu came to New York and why they opened this restaurant, so Huijin told them. They came to the United States more than 4 years ago. The first time they came to the United States was in Chicago, not New York. Haizu worked as a chef in a restaurant, and Huijin worked for relatives in the wholesale market where they were all from Wenzhou. Salesperson. At that time, they had a daughter who was over 4 years old and a son who was over 2 years old. They both stayed at home and let the old man take care of them. Huijin's eyes became a little red when she said this. She said that her daughter is now in the 2nd grade of elementary school and her son is about to enter the 1st grade. In more than 4 years, they have not been back once. They can't leave when they are working for others, and they can't bear to pay for the air tickets to go back. When I think about becoming the boss, I can't leave even more. This restaurant is open all year round and never closes. They had been working in Chicago for more than 2 years. The restaurant owner here, who was also a fellow Wenzhou native, wanted to go to Europe, so he encouraged Haizu and Huijin to take over the place. How can we have so much money? Huijin said, fortunately, more than a dozen fellow villagers pooled their efforts together and lent us a sum of money. They said that we can't make a living by working for others. We should support ourselves. Yes, the original owner here also agreed that we owed him some money, so we bought this store. I have been operating here for 2 years. Fortunately, the business is still good. If I work for another half a year, I can pay off all the money I owe. Then what are your plans in the future? Lu Qing asked. It's very simple. I just continue to make money and save money. I hope I can return to China and have the ability to take over my son and daughter. When Huijin said this, her eyes turned red again, and she said, I called back now. My daughter refused to call me mom while holding the phone. My son even more so. He was only a few years old when we left. He had no impression of us at all. To them, we were just 2 people in the photo. Man, where are the parents like this? Xiaofang quickly said, everything will be fine, Sister Huijin. This blood relationship cannot be broken. When they come to you, they will be very close in less than a month. Others also said yes. Huijin laughed and said, thinking about it, we are pretty good. It's hard work, but here we finally have such a store. It's all thanks to the help of so many fellow villagers. Really, I don't even know. People say, borrow money, we no longer had any friends. It was only when we needed to borrow money that we realized there were so many people willing to help us. Really, there are a few people who we don't usually have any contact with. They found out and came to lend us money. Without their help, we wouldn't be able to sell this store. Zhang Chen sighed, why Wenzhou people can travel all over the world? One is that they are brave, and the other is that Wenzhou people are united and trustworthy. We used to have a few friends in Wenzhou who have been traveling all over the country for a long time. What? They accept all business, as long as there is a factory in their town making this thing, they dare to accept it. When I receive an order, even if I don't know the owner of the factory, I can find out through relatives and friends, ask for his phone number, call him, and then send a fax back to tell him how much of what he wants and when he wants it. It will be sure by then. If you can receive the goods without any advance payment or deposit, the factory will make them for you and send them to you. Haizu said, Painter Zhang is right. We used to be like this in Wenzhou. Those who were running outside would not dare to default on their bills. Even if they were outside and could not receive the money, they would advance the money themselves and pay for the goods. Yes, why? As long as he owes it once, his reputation will be ruined. From now on, no one will take care of his orders, and he won't have to run around anymore. It's no longer possible, Huijin said. I have a relative who works in the court. He said that in the past, Wenzhou people never litigated contract lawsuits. Nowadays, a lot of lawsuits are filed by Americans. Harmful. What does this have to do with Americans? Zhao Xin asked. In the financial crisis a few years ago, many of our factories in Wenzhou were closed. When the factory was opened there, you owed me the money and I owed it to him. Once the factory was closed, things came out, and the bosses had no money to pay. And finally went to court. This kind of thing makes people become less and less courageous. As for the market I used to work in, I told Painter Zhang that if I wanted any goods, I would just make a phone call back to China, and they would be shipped container by container. There was not even a contract. If I sold it here, the money would be paid immediately. Calling back is no longer possible. Everyone requires a deposit or advance payment. The money has to be sent to others before the goods are received, otherwise the bill of lading will not be given to you. Do you want to do this? It is becoming more and more difficult for everyone to do business, and it is getting smaller and smaller. The entire business ecosystem has been destroyed, Xiaofang said. Now everyone likes to talk about the spirit of contract. In fact, no contract is the best. Our Chinese business tradition has always been a contract-free tradition. Who knows? When doing business, one must first establish words, which are all promises worth 1,000 pieces of gold, but now they have all been broken. Thank you to Xiao Shen Nian Fang 48, Musa Scholar Wei, Shiyo 202005271505190557, Quadratic VC, third from top to bottom, 2 fishes one above the bottom, and 3 o'clock in the middle of the night for the reward. Thank you Musa Shiksen Renwei, Xiaosheng is 48, waiting time, salted fish sewer, fish eating brother, delicious unique medicine, book friend 532-757, Dong Long Dong, book friend 201710161731205355, Gongzimian Z, Engross 11, Xiang J, Robin Granite, CYTYP, book friends 201809062232049334, Yunlong Frogfish, Zipanjiang 1, you know whether a book is good or not, Jian Leng Ken Jian, San Randa Xia, Wun Li is UW, books are a pack of medicine, book friends 201705171725155577, book friend 201906121452587114, book friend 201906211331102536, book friend 160529232957,000, book friend 201711210832371666 monthly pass. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1659. Finally, when the day came for Jiang Chen and the others to return to China, Xiaofang drove them off, but not to JFK Airport, but to LaGuardia Airport in La Flushing Bay, just away from the first day Jiang Chen and the others arrived in New York. In the evening, the restaurant for dinner is not far away. Jiang Chen and the others will take a flight from here to Seattle and stay in Seattle for one night. Jiang Chen will visit their American branch and then return to Shanghai from Seattle. On the way to the airport, Jiang Chen sat in the passenger seat, Zhang Xiangbei and Zhao Xian sat in the back seat. Zhang Xiangbei sat against the car door, his head against the window glass, looking outside. After coming out of the house, he silent. Jiang Chen looked in the rearview mirror, and when he turned back, he happened to catch Xiaofang's gaze, and the two of them smiled knowingly. When they arrived at the airport and were about to go through the security check, Zhao Xian said goodbye to Xiaofang, and Xiaofang also said goodbye. Jiang Chen said goodbye to Xiaofang. Xiaofang turned her head away and lowered her voice, but she still said goodbye, brother-in-law. When Zhang Xiangbei and her stood face to face, the two of them could no longer control themselves. They hugged each other and cried bitterly. Zhang Xiangbei, who was about 1.8 meters tall, was crying loudly, which made Jiang Chen feel sad and thought, no matter how tall you are still a child. From the day Zhang Xiangbei arrived in the United States, he lived with Xiaofang almost every day. Of course, the relationship between the two was deep. Although they know that he will come back in more than a month, and Xiaofang will go to JFK Airport to pick him up, but starting from today, they are actually saying goodbye officially. When they come back, both Xiaofang and him will be busy. Soon, Xiaofang will drive him to New Haven, settle in, and then return to New York. The countdown to Xiaofang's return to China will begin. The separation is already destined. Xiaofang said to Jiang Chen with tears in her eyes, brother-in-law, either I will send you to Seattle. Jiang Chen hesitated and said, it's better not to leave. Zhang Xiangbei will be back in more than a month. Jiang Chen thought to himself, Xiaofang just went to Seattle, just to let the sad scene like today reappear at the Seattle-Tacoma Airport tomorrow. Then Xiaofang would still have to go back alone, carrying sadness, but she still didn't want to. Xiaofang stamped her feet and said, why, but she was talking to herself. She also knew that even if she was sent to Seattle, she would have to say goodbye. Jiang Chen suddenly thought of that time, when he and Xiao Zhao went back to their hometown to change their household registration. When they left the village, their car had already started. Xiao Fang was chasing their car, but her aunt caught her. Jiang Chen's heart tightened. He patted Xiao Fang on the shoulder and told her, "A few months have passed in a flash. When you return to Shanghai, I will pick you up at the airport." Xiao Fang let go of Zhang Xiangbei, hugged Jiang Chen and started crying again. Jiang Chen comforted him and said, "I will definitely come to pick you up." Xiao Fang nodded yes. The three people walked back to the security checkpoint step by step. Xiao Fang stood there, covering her face with one hand and waving the other hand at them. Jiang Chen saw Zhao Xian's face was also full of tears and said curiously, "Why are you crying?" Zhao Xian said, "Why can't I cry? Look at Xiao Fang, she is still a strong woman and she is crying like this." They walked into the passage and could no longer see Xiao Fang. Zhang Xiangbei took a few steps forward, then turned around suddenly and almost bumped into a foreigner. Zhang Xiangbei walked back to the exit and saw Xiao Fang still standing. There, Zhang Xiangbei waved to her and said, "Auntie, I'll call you when I get to Seattle." Xiao Fang kept nodding. Xiaoshu came to pick up Jiang Chen and the others at Shanghai Pudong Airport. As soon as Zhang Xiangbei walked out of the exit, Xiaoshu picked him up and held him in his hands. Zhang Xiangbei laughed. Putting it down, Xiaoshu looked at Zhang Xiangbei, stood up on tiptoes, touched Zhang Xiangbei's shoulder with his shoulder, and shouted, "Good boy, this is how I can be as tall as you." When moving luggage to the car, there was a box that was very heavy. Xiaoshu asked what it was. Zhao Xian said, "The good things are all albums bought from the Metropolitan Museum of Art, the Museum of Modern Art and the Guggenheim. We came here. If you want to see the big sweep, I can show it to you first." "Great," Xiaoshu exclaimed, "then I definitely want to take a peek." Jiang Chen and Xiaoshu said, "These three places are all good. There are many things worth seeing." Zhang Xiangbei is very familiar with these three places now. "Xiaoshu, when you go to the United States, you can ask Zhang Xiangbei to guide you. You go, the Museum of Modern Art is particularly worth visiting, you really should go and see it." Xiaoshu said, "Yes, I will definitely find an opportunity to go." "There will be an opportunity soon," Zhao Xian said. "Are you sending me there?" Xiaoshu teased her. "Yes," Zhao Xian said, "I'll take you there." Zhao Xian told Xiaoshu about the news that their Riverside Oil Painting Gallery was planning to jointly hold a biennial exhibition with the Museum of Modern Art in New York. Zhao Xian said, "You can then go to New York to attend the opening ceremony as a representative of the Chinese painters participating in the exhibition. Can I open this back door, boss?" Jiang Chen said yes, Xiaoshu's works were qualified to participate in the exhibition. They came out of Pudong Airport and didn't even enter the city. They went directly from Shenjiahu Expressway to Shanghai Expressway, then to Shanghai Kunming Expressway, and drove to Songjiang. Jiang Chen said, "We should go to the logistics base in Songjiang for lunch." The second guy was also coming back from Chengdu in the past 2 days. When he saw Zhang Xiangbei, the second guy jumped up and down, yelled "Ho ho," and finally clapped his hands and shouted, "Scream, scream, call me God brother. I have a God brother from Yale University. I can brag about him everywhere." Zhao Xian was puzzled and asked the second-rate guy, "Aren't you supposed to be an uncle? Why did you become your God brother?" The idiot rolled his eyes at Jiang Chen and cursed, "It's this instructor and my aunt who made me a generation younger with just one phone call." "My aunt?" The idiot's eyes suddenly turned red. He quickly turned around and cursed, "I was forced to raise you. It's still sad to think about it. If my aunt is still here, I would be so happy." Jiang Chen and Xiaoshu were silent. The second-rate patter patted Zhang Xiangbei on the shoulder and said, "My aunt is also very happy now, for sure." Zhang Xiangbei nodded. Everyone crowded into the restaurant, and the second guy ordered food for them, then pulled Zhang Chen to the next table and chattered to him about the logistic space. When the food was served, Zhang Chen wanted to go over to eat, but the second-rate scolded him, "You are forced to eat, what good is the food? You have been eating for more than 40 years, and you still listen to me report on my work." Zhang Chen scolded, "You are so damn full that you don't know how hungry you are. Why don't you wait for me with an empty stomach?" The second-rate guy chuckled. Zhao Xian filled the rice and vegetables and brought them to Zhang Chen. The second-rate guy said, "Okay, I'll tell you when you eat." Huo and Zhang Chen said, "In the future, our bases will be in different cities across the country, but many of our customers are the same. I was wondering if we should compile a base manual so that all bases can be just like the troops, they will be managed in a unified manner according to the base manual, so that when the time comes, customers will not feel that our management in different places is uneven." Zhang Chen said, "Yes, your method is good." Zhang Chen remembered that year, the group of workers brought from his who were very difficult to manage. In the end, Lao Tan helped them find a way and concentrated military training on the workers before they stabilized. Zhang Chen and Huo said, "Your base manual should not only be based on the experience you have here in Songjiang, but also take into account the objective conditions of each place. I suggest you find a time to gather the general managers of each logistic space." We jointly developed this manual, and after it was formulated, centralized training was conducted every year for middle-level and above-level managers at each base. The location is in Sanya. If we don't have this condition ourselves, why wouldn't it be conducive to us? At the same time, we should combine training with military training. Aren't you familiar with the Yulin base? Go and invite their people to come and talk to our training personnel. Training comes with military training. Logistics space managers have relatively low cultural quality, so you can only train them in the simplest way. The idiot kept nodding his head, "This is good, this is good, they are raised by force. I am worried that there are so many people and they are so scattered and difficult to manage. It is good to give them military training first. They are raised by force and let them be there every day. Being exposed to the big sun in Sanya will engrave the three disciplines into their minds and see if they can still follow orders in all actions." Zhang Chen asked the second-rate guy, "How are the people below now? Can you still cope with so many construction sites?" The second guy said that Wenwen and Xiao were good, so I asked them to take more charge. I also gave Wenwen the control of the construction sites in Zhengzhou and Shenyang. "What about Beijing and Tianjin?" Zhang Chen asked. "Tianjin Xiaojin is watching. It turns out that one of Wenwen's men in Beijing is watching. Wenwen, like me, is flying everywhere. She can't escape anyway. The more she runs, the more excited she becomes." Huo said, "Nanjing Hefei, the construction sites in Changsha and Ningbo have been handed over to Xiaowu. My uncle Tan will help keep an eye on the construction sites in Hangcheng. I will keep an eye on the ones in Chengdu, Kunming, Wuhan, and Xiamen myself, so there should be no problem." Zhang Chen nodded. They finished lunch at Huo and continued walking to Hangzhou. At around 3 o'clock, when they came out of the exit of Hangzhou's Ring Road, Zhang Chen and Xiaoshu said, "Send Zhang Xiangbei back to see his grandma and grandma. I dropped it off downstairs in the company and went to the company to have a look. I had been out for such a long time and didn't know what was going on in the company." Xiaoshu agreed. He drove the car downstairs to the dynamic zone, put Zhang Chen down, and then sent Zhao Xian to the Riverside Oil Painting Gallery. Zhao Xian also wanted to go to the museum to have a look. Zhang Chen arrived upstairs at the dynamic zone and turned around. Su Qiaxin was talking to a subordinate in the corridor on the second floor. When he saw him, he shouted loudly, "Boss, are you back?" Hearing the sound, Zhao Jingjing and Ji Ling ran out of the office. As soon as Zhang Chen entered the office, several people followed him. Zhang Chen was surprised and asked, "What are you doing?" "Look at you," Su Qiaxin said. Zhang Chen burst into laughter and cursed, "I'm not a gorilla, what's so good about me?" Su Qiaxin said, "It will look good if it is exported to domestic sales." Ji Yiling and Zhao Jingjing couldn't help laughing. Zhao Jingjing said, "I have something to tell you." "What's the matter?" Zhang Chen asked. "Well, who is that?" "Zhao Zhigang has been waiting for you in Hangzhou for 3 days," Zhao Jingjing said. "Where is he now?" Zhang Chen asked. "It should be at a nearby hotel now." "What, Su Qiaxin, you haven't let Zhao Zhigang die yet?" Zhang Chen asked Su Qiaxin. Su Qiaxin shouted, "Where is it? It's this dead Zhao Zhigang. Now he will hide away when he sees me. I'm embarrassed, because I'm afraid you'll scold him," Zhao Jingjing said. "Humph, what's he so embarrassed about? I'm not the one who can save him in the end," Su Qiaxin said. Zhang Chen and Zhao Jingjing said, "Let him come over." "Thank you Quadratic VC for the reward." "Thank you Shihan, people have short ambitions but thin horses have long hair, $dollar wandering #@ don't take it too seriously, and how, Shwemu, book friends 201901092142571740, 0. HJKLG, Inab, Ling in the Lake, Hoo, book friends 1602291245380056, no future, only remember the original intention, Chien Dad, humorous tribe, Guzayo Kaiokyu, Little Gatekeeper's monthly ticket. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1660. Zhang Chen asked Zhao Jingjing, Su Qiaxin, and the others if there was anything going on in the company while he was away. Zhao Jingjing said that it was nothing major. Anyway, they would take care of every piece of it themselves, including the e-commerce industrial park and our own factory. The design drawings have been released. Director Tan saw that there were no problems and she had already notified the construction team to come in. Zhang Chen nodded. Now Xyli goes there every day, Su Qiaxin said. Zhang Chen was surprised and asked, what was she doing there? Be the supervisor and urge them to hurry up, Su Qiaxin said. Nonsense, she is a layman. She doesn't know what she can do when she goes there. Don't rush or cut corners. The construction company told her what changes to the construction plan and she agreed haphazardly, so she was caught. Zhang Chen said. Su Qiaxin agreed, the construction team is so cunning, so we can't let her go tomorrow. Yes, Brother Tan will keep an eye on the construction site over there. Going there once every 3 days is more effective than her keeping an eye on it 24 hours a day, Zhang Chen said. How is the e-commerce department doing now? By the way, Su Qiaxin, did you make anything for that damn Zhao Zhigang? Sales are growing very fast, but the American company has just started. Boss, you were there yesterday. You know the situation there. It will take some time for real breakthrough growth, Su Qiaxin said. That damn Zhao Zhigang, hand it over, give it to me and I will arrange it. Just as he was talking, someone knocked on the door. Zhang Chen said, come in. The door opened and it was Zhao Zhigang. Zhao Zhigang stood at the door and said, Boss, are you back? There are so many people, are you in a meeting? Then I will wait outside for a while. Zhang Chen waved to him and said, come here, come here. Zhao Zhigang came over and Zhao Jingjing and the others were about to leave. Zhang Chen said, Su Qiaxin, you stay. Su Qiaxin just stood up and sat down again. Zhang Chen invited Zhao Zhigang to sit down and asked Zhao Zhigang, have the company's articles of association been changed? Zhao Zhigang agreed, and then he took out a copy of the company's articles of association from his bag. Zhang Chen opened it and looked at it. The share settings inside were Zhao Zhigang's 30%, Kaidi's 20%, and Zhao Hailong's 20%. 10. The shares of the working class have been reduced to 4%, while both Lifen and Laofu have become 7%. Let's look at the section on the shareholders' meeting. It has also been changed to a shareholders' meeting resolution. If 50% of the shareholders with voting rights who attend the meeting pass it, it is deemed to be passed. After Zhang Chen finished reading it, he told Zhao Zhigang that it was okay. He handed the company's articles of association to Su Qiaxin. Su Qiaxin read them. Zhang Chen asked Zhao Zhigang, "Zhao Hailong didn't come?" Zhao Zhigang said no, sorry to come. Zhang Chen asked, what about his? Zhao Zhigang understood and took out a piece of paper to Zhang Chen with Zhao Hailong's bank card number written on it. Zhang Chen picked up his mobile phone and transferred the money through mobile banking. Mobile banking can only transfer 50,000 yuan at a time. Zhang Chen finished the transfer 10 times and said to Zhao Zhigang, "That's it?" "Thank you, boss," Zhao Zhigang said. Su Qiaxin read the company's articles of association and put them on the table. Zhang Chen asked, "How is it?" Su Qiaxin nodded, "If that's the case, yes, but Zhao Zhigang, this is the last time. Don't be like Zhao Hailong." "No, no, how could I be so unclear?" Zhao Zhigang said quickly. Su Qiaxin smiled and said, "I also know that you, Zhao Zhigang, don't know how to die." Zhang Chen said, "Okay, Zhao Zhigang, what are the next arrangements?" "You listen to Su Qiaxin. By the way, I don't have time to eat with you today. There are a lot of people at home. If I don't go back today, I will be scolded by Zhang Xiangbei's grandma. Die, Su Qiaxin, please accompany Zhao Zhigang to death." "No, no, I have to rush back right away," Zhao Zhigang said quickly. Su Qiaxin glared at him and cursed, "You coward, what are you afraid of if I just eat a meal? I will eat you again? Don't you want to talk about the order?" Zhao Zhigang blushed and smiled. Zhang Chen looked at him and laughed. Su Qiaxin stood up and said to Zhao Zhigang, "Let's go, follow me." The two people walked out. Zhang Chen looked at the time and saw that it was almost 5 o'clock. He also stood up, preparing to pack up and go back early. Someone knocked on the door again. Zhang Chen said, "Come in." The door opened and it was Li Wei. Zhang Chen shouted, "Li Wei, come here quickly. How is your father?" Li Wei came over and said, "Thank you, Mr. Zhang. The operation has been completed and it was very successful. The doctor said that I can be discharged from the hospital in another week. Then, as long as I recover well after the operation, my father will be fine." "Great," Zhang Chen shouted. Li Wei nodded yeah and said, "It's not all up to Mr. Zhang." Zhang Chen waved his hand. Li Wei said, "Mr. Zhang, my parents want to come and meet you. They want to express their gratitude in person." Zhang Chen thought for a moment and said, "It's better not to do it. It was you, the daughter, who saved your father's life. If your father really wants to remember it, just let him remember this. Don't feel that you are against other people, man. What else do you owe me?" Li Wei nodded. She said, "But I still want to thank Mr. Zhang." Zhang Chen smiled and said, "Thank you, just say it once. Don't say it again in the future. Li Wei, let's just do this, okay? I wish your dad a speedy recovery." Li Wei agreed, and she said, "There is one more thing I think I should tell Mr. Zhang." Zhang Chen said, "Yes, you say it." Xiao Li, Su Qiaxin, Zhao Jingjing, Ji Yiling, and Qian Qian still pooled together 60,000 yuan and insisted on giving it to me. I refused to take it and they were about to fall out with me, Li Wei said. Zhang Chen said, "Yes, This is their wish, you should accept it and buy more delicious food for your father to replenish his health. Zhang Chen stood up and told Li Wei, let's go. I have to go home. There are many things at home today. The two people walked to the door. Li Wei and Zhang Chen waved and said goodbye to Mr. Zhang. When Zhang Chen returned home, he heard the bustle at home from a distance. He couldn't help but smile knowingly. Zhang Xiangbei was back. One can imagine the mood of the four old people. Grandma and grandma must be very busy and wishing for something. Delicious food can be made today, and Zhang Xiangbei can eat it all at once. Zhang Chen walked in and saw Zhang Xiangbei sitting on the sofa. To his surprise, Xiang Nan was also there, huddled on a couch with Zhang Xiangbei. Several people were chatting enthusiastically, and they were huddled together. There was another person on the couch. When he saw Zhang Chen come in, he stood up and shouted, "Hello Uncle Zhang." This young man looked a little familiar, but also a little strange. He had dark stubble on his chin and a few pimples on his face. Zhang Chen took a closer look and was startled. Zhang Chen asked, "Are you Sun Xiang Yang? Where is your fat?" Sun Xiang Yang chuckled and said to Nan, "He has lost weight. If he doesn't lose weight, the school will expel him." Zhang Chen understood. Sun Xiangyang took the college entrance examination last year and was admitted to the Zhejiang Police Officer University in Xiaosha. They have requirements for body shape. Zhang Chen said. That's how it should be. Otherwise, if you're so fat, how will you be able to catch up with bad guys in the future? But he can crush bad guys, Zhang Xiangbei said, and everyone laughed. Zhang Chen asked Xiang Nan, "Why are you here?" Xiangnan squeezed Zhang Xiangbei and said, "This guy is back. Of course I have to come, otherwise he will accuse me of being ruthless and unjust." Xiaoshu said, "Nanan originally said today that he would go to Shanghai with me to pick you up." "It's Uncle Xiaoshu, you were already gone when I arrived in Hangzhou, huh, you didn't wait for me," Xiang Nan said dissatisfied. Xiaoshu said, "There is nothing I can do. If I wait for you any longer, I will delay the pickup time." "Uncle Zhang Chen, we went to see Aunt Xiao Zhao," Xiang Nan said, "Aunt Xiao Zhao is exaggerating." Zhang Xiangbei chuckled. After a while, Tan Shuhen and Yao Fen also arrived, and finally Zhou Ruyi also rushed over from Xiaosha. When she saw her, she shouted to the south, "Oh, then we only have Zheng Xingxin still in Beijing." Zhao Zhigang followed Su Qiaxin to her office. Su Qiaxin and Zhao Zhigang said, "Show me the orders for the goods that are going to be shipped from your factory now." Zhao Zhigang took out 2 orders and showed them to Su Qiaxin. He and Su Qiaxin said, "This one is already in progress, and this one is the order they passed to us for the future." Su Qiaxin picked up the order at the back, looked at it, and asked, "You didn't sign it?" "No, they have been urging me to sign for the past 2 days. I said that I was outside and couldn't sign," Zhao Zhigang said. "Smart, don't sign this again. Do you understand, Zhao Zhigang?" Su Qiaxin asked. Zhao Zhigang said yes. Su Qiaxin put the order in his hand aside, picked up another one, and asked Zhao Zhigang, "How many cabinets of this order have not yet been shipped?" 8. "What about the ones that have been sold out but not settled?" Su Qiaxin asked. 7. "When will the latest batch be shipped?" "The day after tomorrow." "How many cabinets?" 3. "When did they promise to pay the previous payment?" Su Qiaxin asked. Zhao Zhigang said, "They said that after the 3 cabinets are released the day after tomorrow, they will give me the first 3 cabinets. Su Qiaxin nodded, "That is to say, there will always be 7 containers of goods left unpaid." "Haha, you guys are really rich. It's so annoying. We have a lot of money, and there is no profit in the first place. We have to deduct money at every turn, and the payment is delayed. That's how we are dragged to death," Zhao Zhigang said. Su Qiaxin patted the table gently with both hands, looked at Zhao Zhigang and said, Zhao Zhigang, tell me first, if I ask you to do something, will you listen to me? Of course I listened. If I don't listen, my boss will scold me to death, Zhao Zhigang said. This has nothing to do with the boss. Su Qiaxin waved her hand, I'm just asking you if you believe me. Believe. Believe it 100%. Yes, 100%, I will do whatever you tell me to do, Zhao Zhigang said. Su Qiaxin laughed and said, I will take you to dinner first. Thank you, Tin Soldier, for ranking third from top to bottom, flipping through books every day, catching 2 fishes, and rewarding me at 3 o'clock in the middle of the night. Thank you, Daos Hung 123, Man's Insights, George Xiao, Lself, 55 Hong, Happy Xiaofeng number 8, Huaxin Yang Xiao, ABC 19791205, Xiao 0906061135194556, Xiaoshen Nianfang 48, Yuangzi, Tianying 1978, Wang Wenhai, Zhou Wenzhao, Zixi, Hua and the Boy, Dong Long Dong, Me. Monthly tickets for Yi Yi Yi, Qian Qian Dad, Hu Hu, Dong 11, Shio 202009111601099750, Shio 201711192342199749, and 201808030256355047. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1661. On the day of shipment, the container trucks all drove to Zhao Zhigang's factory. Su Qiaxin and Xiaoli also arrived at the factory early that day and hid in the finance room. Su Qiaxin called Zhao Zhigang and Kaidi over and told them not to ship the goods. If they did not receive payment for the first 7 containers and today's 3 containers, they would not ship the goods. Zhao Zhigang and Kaidi were both shocked. They said, what if they really stop posting? There are so many clothes left, what should we do with them? Su Qiaxin said no, I checked their company and found that 80% of their business depends on this order from Walmart. They dare not ship the goods or breach the contract, otherwise Walmart will cancel all their orders. Have you been paid this month's salary? Xiaoli asked. Zhao Zhigang said with some embarrassment, aren't you strapped for funds? It has been delayed for more than a week, but we have agreed with the workers that these 3 containers will be sent out, and we will send them out immediately after receiving the payment for the first 3 containers here. Su Qiaxin knew what Xiaoli meant when she asked, and she said to Kaidi, ask the old man to bring a few of his fellow villagers to stop the warehouse and tell them that the truck will not be loaded unless they get paid today. By the way, do you have any suppliers you have good relations with? Let them come to help with the acting and ask for help. Want payment? Then, you, Zhao Zhigang, acted tragically and said that you had nothing to do and asked the foreign trade company to pay immediately. If you didn't pay, you had nothing to do. You really have no money. Zhao Zhigang was still a little hesitant, but when Kaidi heard about it, she immediately went to make arrangements. Su Qiaxin looked at Zhao Zhigang and cursed, Zhao Zhigang, at this critical moment, Grandma, don't let your guard down. Zhao Zhigang murmured, isn't it bad to do this? They are our customers after all. Xiaoli scolded, Zhao Zhigang, is there a hole in your mind? They are your customers, so you are not their customers. When they deducted your money, did you think that this is not a good thing? They owe you. When I paid for the goods, I thought about whether this is not a good thing. Damn it, are you just bullying our company? Zhao Zhigang's face turned red after being scolded by Xiaoli. Su Qiaxin smiled and said, okay, Zhao Zhigang, just pretend to be dead in the office. Can you pretend to be dead? Don't say anything else, just ask for money. Zhao Zhigang was determined and said okay. Su Qiaxin looked at Zhao Zhigang and still felt a little uneasy. She called Zhao Zhilong over and told him that your brother's heart is still too soft. At the critical moment, you are the one who needs to take action. If they can't pay for 10 containers today, we won't allow delivery. Is that okay? Not even one cabinet is missing. Zhao Zhilong said yes. Xiaoli said from the side, Zhao Zhilong, if you do what you did today, you will atone for your sins, and I will be nice to you. Everyone laughed, and Su Qiaxin said, I promise you, if you press like this, they will definitely pay today. Su Qiaxin said to Zhao Zhigang again, then you can blame it on Zhao Zhilong and let him make the decision. Is that okay? Zhao Zhigang nodded, and Su Qiaxin remembered it and said, by the way, they may still ask you to sign the next order today. Just say, I'm tired of it. Let's deal with the things here. When they get the money, you can turn off your phone and hide away, and run to Zhongshan. In the city, go to the internet cafe to play games. Brothers Zhao Zhigang and Zhao Zhilong both agreed and walked away. Su Qiaxin and Xiaoli then started to watch the show. They saw downstairs, Lao Fu and his people stopped the people loading the truck and refused to allow them to load the truck. The salesman from the foreign trade company ran upstairs to find Zhao Zhigang. Zhao Zhigang pushed it to Zhao Zhilong. Zhao Zhilong told them that there was no way. If there was no money today, the goods would not be shipped. The salesman of the foreign trade company roared anxiously, then walked up and down the corridor outside, called the boss of the company, got through, took the phone, and walked into Zhao Zhigang's office and asked him to answer the phone. Zhao Zhigang didn't answer, so he left again. Go to Zhao Zhilong's office and ask Zhao Zhilong to pick him up. Zhao Zhilong said that there is no way. If there is no money, the goods cannot be shipped today. The two sides were in a stalemate. At about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the three bosses of the foreign trade company arrived here from Hangzhou. But at about this time, 4 or 5 suppliers also arrived, asking for payment from Zhao Zhigang. The boss of the foreign trade company even talked to Zhao Zhigang. There was no chance to speak, so he had to go to Zhao Zhilong. At this time, those suppliers also came to Zhao Zhilong and asked Zhao Zhilong for money. Zhao Zhilong simply transferred all the conflicts to the foreign trade company. He pointed to the boss of the foreign trade company and said, their foreign trade company does not pay, what can we do? You also know that when we make this order, we are doing it at a loss. How can we still have money? The suppliers surrounded the boss of the foreign trade company, causing his face to turn blue and blue. At about 2 o'clock, the boss of the foreign trade company told Zhao Zhilong that as long as today's goods are shipped out, we will definitely pay you tomorrow. Before Zhao Zhilong said anything, the supplier stopped working. One supplier cursed. Tomorrow, tomorrow, how many times have you told us tomorrow? I think you are a liar company. No, I will also call and ask my workers to come over. If you can't get the money today, don't tell me. If the goods cannot be delivered, none of you should leave. The boss of the foreign trade company knew that things would only get worse and worse, so he quickly reassured them and said, wait, I will think of a solution. He and Zhao Zhilong said, can we open 3 cabinets today first? Zhao Zhilong said, it's useless, but it's not enough at all. Several people discussed it for a long time, and the boss finally said to Zhao Zhilong, we have agreed to buy 6 containers. We will pay for 6 containers today, and then we will ship the rest. Zhao Zhilong finally got angry and cursed, what the hell did you come to us to do? We were fine and had a good life, but it was all your humming words that made me lose the order for half an acre of land. I pushed them all away, and I offended people. I came to take your orders, but in the end I didn't make any humming money, and I ended up like this. Zhao Zhilong cursed out all the resentment in his heart and said, get it clear, it's the money you owe me, not the money I owe you. You guys are still giving away money like a humming charity. 3 cabinets and 6 cabinets. I said, all the payment for 10 cabinets will be paid today. Give me a penny less, and I won't have to sell a single piece of clothing, so I keep my word. Zhao Hailong's words completely blocked the escape route. Zhao Hailong was roaring next door, and Su Qiaxin and Xiaoli heard clearly. The two looked at each other, and Su Qiaxin gave a thumbs up. The boss of the foreign trade company was livid, but he had no choice. He walked to the corridor outside and called the company. Su Qiaxin and Xiaoli were lying on the door and listening. They heard the company's reply to the boss, as if there was not so much in the account. The boss asked them to think of ways to collect the money, and then they called a friend to borrow money. Su Qiaxin whispered to Xiaoli, "Grandma, this company is completely hollow. It's lucky, otherwise Zhao Zhigang would really die in their hands." At about 3 o'clock, the company's financial officer called the boss and told him that the money had been withdrawn, but the bank said that it would not arrive today and would not arrive until tomorrow morning. The boss yelled, "You can't hurry up." Finance said aggrievedly, "It's already been expedited." "Fax over the voucher," the boss said. After a while, the transfer voucher was faxed to Zhao Zhigang's office. The boss told Zhao Zhigang that the money had already been transferred to me, but the bank said that it would not arrive until tomorrow morning at the earliest, and there was nothing I could do. Zhao Zhigang still didn't speak, and the boss became anxious. He said, "I have tried my best. Boss Zhao, if you don't deliver the goods, I have no choice but to wait here until the money arrives and watch you deliver the goods. I just left, but the ship probably left by then." Kaidi came over with the fax and showed it to Su Qiaxin and the others. The finance official took the fax and looked at it horizontally and vertically, saying that it seemed like it had really been remitted, but she wasn't sure. Su Qiaxin faxed the remittance receipt to Zhao Jingjing. After a while, Zhao Jingjing called Su Qiaxin and told her that a friend at the bank had helped find the money and it had indeed been transferred. "You can ship it?" Su Qiaxin talked to the finance officer, who stood up and walked out, telling Zhao Hailong that the money had been transferred and could be loaded into the car. Zhao Hailong got up and went down to arrange the loading of the truck. When the people from the foreign trade company heard that the truck was about to be loaded, they hurried downstairs to have a look. Su Qiaxin and Kaidi said, "Go ahead and let Zhao Zhigang escape." Zhao Zhigang took a car from one of the suppliers and left. When 2 of the 3 containers below were loaded and the third one started to be loaded, it started to get dark. The boss of the foreign trade company asked the 2 container trucks that had already been loaded to go first. Only then did he think of something. Returned to Zhao Zhigang's office upstairs and looked for Zhao Zhigang, but did not see him. The finance manager walked over and the boss of the foreign trade company asked her, "Where is your boss Zhao?" The finance officer said, "I don't know either. Those who came to ask for money heard that the money would not arrive until tomorrow, so they took Mr. Zhao away." The boss's face suddenly changed. The first thought that came to his mind was that Zhao had been taken away by his creditor. He hurried downstairs and saw his salesman, driver, and QC standing there, watching the workers loading the trucks. The boss, he quickly shouted, "Hurry up, come and help load the car together, hurry up." As he said that, he took off his coat and started to move the cardboard boxes. The salesman, driver, and QC came closer without knowing what was going on. The boss told them about Zhao Zhigang being taken away. The 3 of them were also shocked. They quickly helped load the truck. They were also worried that if someone showed up again, the truck would not be able to be shipped. That's when the matter became serious. Upstairs, Su Qiaxin's phone rang. She looked at it and saw that it was Zhao Zhigang. Su Qiaxin asked, "Where are you hiding?" Zhao Zhigang said, "I'm in private room number 5 of Jianglangshan Hotel. The dishes have been ordered. You and Xiaoli come over for dinner." Su Qiaxin said, "Okay, we will come right away. Thank you to the administrator on the third floor of the library pavilion, Wei Isa 99999, De Ji Lao, Lao Chiang Baba, Book Friends 201701191722579990, and Book Friends 202003182329565519 for their monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone.